Douluo, my Sharingan isn't very proper. Hey, fanfic family. So glad to see you here again to continue this incredible adventure. As always, kindly remember, this story is 100% fiction. So don't go looking for dimensional portals in your closet. All rights to this fantastic novel belong to the original author. We're just your humble narrators of epic tales. Are you enjoying the fanfic? Show it by subscribing to our YouTube channel and dropping us a like. And if you're impatient for more exclusive content, our Patreon is your happy place. Chapter 752 Give them an explanation. Ah, Xiao suddenly exclaimed. Hi-ro, what are you doing? What if the soul bone falls to the ground? Soul bones aren't that easy to break, Hi-ro pouted. She took the over 50,000-year-old wisdom skull that Xiao Wu had touched. Her eyes lit up, and she held it to her face, rubbing it. Wow. Let me rub it a bit, see if I can become smarter. PFFT Gu Kingbo couldn't help but laugh. Hi-ro, your brain is all in your chest, you're rubbing the wrong place. Ah. Kingbo, you're going to die? Hi-ro and Gu Kingbo started playing around. Seriously, what's so great about rubbing it? I wish this soul bone were mine, Xiao pouted. Ruishu, you're too ambitious, aren't you? It's already good enough that Yu and the others let us play with it, and you still want to swallow their soul bones. Shen Liuyu rolled her eyes. TCH. What's wrong with that? We can just sell 7th sister to Yu for her soul bone. 7th sister will definitely be willing. As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao met Shui Yuer's resentful gaze. Haha. Yuer might not be worth as much as this soul bone. Xiao Wu covered her red lips, unable to suppress a laugh. Gu Kingbo suddenly said, it's okay, just give eldest sister to Yu too. The twin beauties will definitely like it. You stop talking nonsense. Shui Binger blushed and frowned as she scolded. Hey. You guys don't even respect us anymore? Why don't you all come and warm Yichu's bed, and each of you can get a piece of the pie? Ning Rongrong rolled her eyes at the Xianshu girl group. Upon encountering the main character, Shen Liuai and the others fell silent, their faces flushed. Even Zhu Henshin, who sat at the same table with them. While these girls were arguing. On Yichu's side, things were calm and peaceful, with both the Dragon Duke and Snake Granny smiling happily. After all, 2 titled Dalos were present, along with Ning Fengzi, the sect leader of the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School, one of the 3 upper sects. The 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School was incredibly wealthy. As long as they could catch even the meager amount of money that slipped through their fingers, it would help his family advance even further. Of course, they also knew that this was all because Ning Fengzi was showing them respect far beyond what was expected, out of consideration for Yichu. Yichu, tell me, why did Tang Hao and the others put on such a show? Ning Fengzi suddenly asked Yichu. Yichu took the skewer Xiaolan handed him and smiled, saying, Uncle Ning, didn't Tang Hao already make it very clear back then? Oh, Ning Fengzi paused, recalling for a moment, and a slight smile appeared on his lips. Was this a self-inflicted injury ruse for Tang San? Yichu nodded slightly, then shook his head. It's not exactly a self-inflicted injury ploy, but they've certainly drawn the right amount of hatred. Besides, they're not just putting on an act for Tang San, the Clear Sky sect is also involved. It seems they're lacking manpower. Dugubo stroked his beard. According to what you've said, Tang Hao was already dead, and the one who self-destructed was just a puppet. So, could the person controlling him still be hiding in Spirit City? What? Meng Shu's eyes widened. What did that mean? Tang Hao was already dead. The one who self-destructed was just a puppet. Probably not. The Spirit Hall is more complex than it appears on the surface. The number of titled Dalos is at least much greater than it seems. Sword Douluo took a sip of his strong liquor, offering his insights. That's true, Dugubo nodded slightly. For these older folks, those who rose to fame in the Spirit Hall years ago had all mysteriously disappeared. Were they really dead? No one would believe that, right? They're probably all hiding in some corner of the Spirit Hall. Ning Fengzi asked Zhu King, King, the Empire shouldn't be under Zhu Bang's control too much, right? Zhu King withdrew his gaze from Yichu and replied, Don't worry, teacher, his power in the court is far less than mine. That's good. Zhu Bang might very well become their weapon to stir up trouble on the continent. Ning Fengzi rubbed his temples. What happened today, in a way, was both big and small. Overall, it was insignificant. It was just the death of a Haoshan Douluo who had long since disappeared. but the information revealed in it was something that couldn't be ignored. When the Haitian sect makes a comeback, that will be the time when this continent becomes a bloodbath. Haha. Alright, that's still far off. I have some great news to announce. Ning Fengzi smiled, no longer thinking about these troublesome matters. His gaze turned to Yichu. Ning Rongrong, who had been eavesdropping on the commotion, suddenly blushed. Rongrong, what's wrong? Xiao Wu looked at Ning Rongrong with confusion, raising her oily hand to wipe her face. Are you drunk? You shouldn't be like this. I'm fine. Ning Rongrong met Yichu's glance and hurriedly lowered her head. How? Yichu chuckled softly. He looked at Ning Fengzi. Uncle Ning, just say what you want to say. Alright, then I'll be frank. Ning Fengzi took a sip of tea to moisten his throat and said with a smile, you and Rongrong have been together for so long, it's time to give her, and also Zhuking and Xiao, an explanation, right? I think this opportunity of your Soul Master competition victory would be great. How about I hold an engagement ceremony for you at the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School or the Soul Palace? As Ning Fengzi's words fell, the entire floor fell silent. Zhu Zhuking, Xiao, and the other girls looked at each other. At the same time, they turned to look at Yichu. Liu Erlong was also a little excited, but thinking of her age, she felt a little disappointed. Standing among her sisters, she felt quite out of place. She'd rather wait for that wretched woman, Bibi Dong, and her sister Yu Hui. Meanwhile, Ho Wu and Shui Yuer couldn't help but cast envious glances at Xiao Wu and the others. Yichu was so outstanding, who wouldn't want their other half to be a world-renowned genius? Even Shui Binger's eyes held a hint of disappointment. How could she not be tempted by Yichu? But she remained clear-headed. Zhuking, also known as Jinring Su, suddenly darkened her expression, staring intently at Yichu. Yichu felt a little uneasy under Jinring Su's gaze. But since the matter had been brought up, how could he refuse? He glanced apologetically at Zhuking. Under the expectant gazes of the women, Yichu nodded. Of course, no problem. Let's choose the Soul Palace as the location. As for the other arrangements, I'll have to trouble Uncle Ning to prepare them carefully. Hey, Douluo suddenly laughed. Then, they'll all be able to rightfully call him Grandpa. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 753 The strange fragrance that flowed into the room. Hearing that Yichu wanted to hold the event at the Soul Hall, Ning Fengzi naturally understood his intention, to give the Soul Hall a chance to step onto the stage of the Soul Master world. Ning Fengzi had no problem with this. Alright, then I'll make the arrangements. Ning Fengzi nodded in agreement, turning to look at Mengshu and his wife. And you too, Lord Long, why don't you come back with us? It'll save you a lot of trouble. Lord Long and Lady Snake exchanged glances. Sect Leader Ning, that's not necessary. We still need to prepare generous gifts for your daughter and Yichu's wedding. Lord Long finally made up his mind. Meng Yiren had only recently been accepted by Yichu, so her status was definitely relatively low. Being an old and shrewd man, he wouldn't be foolish enough to think that his granddaughter could participate in this grand occasion with Ning Rongrong. Their status, position, and feelings were far from equal. Since that's the case, then I won't say any more. Ning Fengzi didn't try to persuade them to stay. King, I'm afraid your royal family will need to cooperate then. Hearing Ning Fengzi call her name, Jinring Su withdrew her fierce gaze and forced a smile. Her heart was bleeding. How, teacher, don't worry. Yichu is the winner of this Soul Master competition, and my Heavenly Dao Empire will naturally give him the treatment he deserves. Haha, that's good. Ning Fengzi nodded with a smile, then turned to Ning Rongrong. He teased, Rongrong, you're usually so opinionated, why are you playing the ostrich now, Dad? You, don't talk nonsense. Ning Rongrong was extremely embarrassed, raising her eyes to glare at Ning Fengzi. But when she met Yichu's gaze, she avoided it like the plague. Not only did she intend to give herself to Yichu, but she also seemed to have promised to let Yichu find another way. Ning Fengzi laughed loudly, haha, alright, this is a major life event for you. You should at least state your requirements, right? Otherwise, it wouldn't be good if Daddy didn't do it to your liking. It's all up to you. Ning Rongrong rolled her eyes, composed herself, and stared straight at Yichu, her eyes like water. Ning Fengzi nodded. At this time, it was better to wait until he had made arrangements before asking Ning Rongrong's opinion. Of course, Ning Fengzi wouldn't forget the other girls in this matter. Especially the granddaughter of Poison Douluo, and Zhu Zhuking, who came from the Zhou family and could be said to have no relatives, and Xiao Wu. These were girls with special identities and were easy to win over. He was, after all, a businessman, and Yichu knew this. Yichu's usual approach was to let the girls discuss it themselves. And Yan Yan, Zhu Qing, Xiao Wu, you little girls, if you don't mind, you can come with my Rongrong, thank you, Uncle Ning. Du Guyan didn't have any requests. Moreover, Du Gubo was eager for her to become Yichu's lawfully wedded wife as soon as possible, so he could see his grandchildren sooner. Yi Lingling and the other girls exchanged glances, unsure if Ning Fengzi included them in his list. After all, it would be quite a task to include all of them. Receiving Yichu's signal, Ning Rongrong showed no reluctance and said understandingly, Dad, let me and my sisters discuss these matters ourselves. I'll inform you later, alright, Ning Fengzi nodded with a smile. Yichu also smiled at Ning Rongrong. Was the young lady finally changing into virtuous wife and mother, a qualified mistress? Ho Wu, Shui Yuir, and the other girls looked on with envy. They glanced at Yichu at another table, then at Du Guyan and Ning Rongrong, who were closer to them. These two women were now certain. Ho Wu hesitated for a moment, then chose Du Guyan, whom she had interacted with more and who had seen her body. Du Guyan, how about we attend your engagement ceremony too? Hearing Ho Wu's voice, Shui Yuir's eyes lit up, and Chu Rushu and the other girls who wanted to watch the excitement also became excited. This was the engagement of the eldest daughter of the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile sect, the richest sect in the world. It was unimaginable what a grand occasion it would be. It would be such a pity to miss it. Shui Binger was also eager to join in. PFFT, Du Guyan giggled, her flushed face teasing, and took a sip of the fruit wine in her glass. She looked at Ning Rongrong. Miss Rongrong, this is still up to you. After all, it's your family that's arranging the seating. Hearing this, Shui Yuir and the other girls immediately looked at Ning Rongrong. HMPH, Ning Rongrong snorted, and just when Ho Wu and the others thought they had no chance, she inexplicably became exceptionally generous. Of course, no problem. I'll arrange a private car for you to pick me up. Really? Shen Liuyu exclaimed in surprise. Unexpectedly, Ning Rongrong even arranged for a carriage to pick them up. Of course, I'm serious, Ning Rongrong said confidently. In a while, she would be the real mistress, so why should she be afraid of these vixens? She had already secured her position. Great. Thank you, Miss Rongrong, Chiurushu and the others beamed with joy, tossing the soul bones in their hands into the air. Ah! Don't hit me, thud. The soul bone fell into the soup. It's a skull, haha. This soup, which has been soaking a 50,000-year-old head soul bone, might be good for the brain. At the next table, Jin Ringsu was now in a state of complete loss of appetite. Xiao Lan blinked, looked at Ning Fengzi, and said with a smile, Uncle Ning, can Xiao Lan come with Sister Rongrong too? Oh, Ning Fengzi was stunned for a moment, then chuckled and passed the buck to Yichu. That depends on Yichu's opinion, brother, is it okay? Xiao Lan immediately turned to look at Yichu, her greasy little hands reaching out to grab him. If you want it, of course, no problem, but you'll have to discuss it with Rongrong and the others first. Yichu smiled, suddenly rubbing Xiao Lan's head and gently pushing her away slightly. Haha, Yichu, you're really lucky, Jin Ringsu laughed as she looked at Yichu. Although her smile was warm and polite, Yichu still felt a chill run down his spine. Hey, Yichu chuckled intermittently, not daring to speak. This short celebration banquet lasted for more than an hour before it ended. It was already afternoon when they came out. Everyone strolled around Wuhan City. It wasn't until night fell that the sounds of their playful banter gradually subsided. Liu Erlong warmly invited Meng Yiren to sleep with him. Yichu, on the other hand, lay between Jiangsu and Bai Chengxiang, letting them curl up in his arms. Neither of the two women had the same personality as Ning Rongrong and Xiao Lan. With others around, they wouldn't do anything excessive. At most, they'd just let Yichu grab them a couple of times. While they were being affectionate, a slight noise suddenly came from outside the room, and a strange fragrance slowly wafted in. Wishing everyone a pleasant life, the next chapter is under review. Chapter 754 Bibi Dong's night raid and imprisonment of Yichu. Jiangsu nestled against Yichu, her breathing even, a blush spreading across her face. It was unclear what kind of dream she was having. Bai Chengxiang was more flamboyant, clinging to Yichu's neck, letting him rest his head on her ample bosom. Her long, Shapely legs were draped over him. The two women gently sniffed, seemingly catching a scent that didn't belong to Yichu. But Yichu seemed unaffected, motionless, sleeping peacefully, his hands softly touching the women's waists and hips. The door slowly opened, letting in a few drops of moonlight. Then, a figure in a black robe entered the room. The strange aura grew even stronger. The figure beneath the black robe, with its curvaceous, slender body, walked gracefully towards the bed. Looking at the two women on the bed, he couldn't help but frown. With a flick of his wrist, 2 pills appeared in his hand. He gently placed them in their mouths. They melted instantly, and the two women, who had been making some noise, immediately fell into deeper sleep. How immune to all poisons, how about this sleep-inducing fragrance? The dark figure chuckled, stroking Yichu's face. Her smooth intrusion was due to her powerful cultivation and the fragrance Yichu had inhaled during the awards ceremony earlier that day. That fragrance wasn't poisonous, but combined with another scent she released, it created a potent sleeping pill. Indeed, the one who sneaked into Yichu's room in the middle of the night was none other than Bibi Dong, the Pope of the Spirit Hall. Bibi Dong casually pushed Bai Chengxiang and Zhang Zhu aside, then bent down to embrace Yichu. Looking at that face, those lips, she couldn't resist. She immediately leaned down and captured Yichu's lips, her purple eyes widening slightly. Like a refugee parched for days, she drew deeper and deeper, her eyes filled with a fervent, almost obsessive, intensity. The imposing chest pressed down on Zhang Zhu, and after a while, she found it difficult to breathe. She couldn't help but let out a sound. Ugh! Zhang Zhu raised her hands, grabbing what was pressing down on her and pushing it away forcefully. 2 key targets were targeted by Zhang Zhu's poisonous hand. Bibi Dong, already flushed, suddenly widened her eyes, her lips parting slightly as she uttered a sob. Her body trembled slightly beneath her black robe. Whoosh! The door suddenly opened and closed. Bibi Dong had already left the room with Yichu, but the lingering dampness remained in the air. On the eaves, Bibi Dong's legs felt weak. She pressed her legs tightly together, holding Yichu, enjoying the cool evening breeze. She finally regained her senses. Yichu's lips still had large drops of moisture on them. Bibi Dong pursed her lips, her eyes filled with infatuation, and flew towards the papal palace with Yichu in her arms. In the shadows, Ling Yuan, back to her old tricks as a sideline Douluo, emerged from a corner under the eaves. She touched her face, the moisture that had just dripped from Bibi Dong, her face flushed with embarrassment. She hadn't expected Danger to guess so accurately. That mad woman was truly perverted. To actually kidnap someone in the middle of the night, it's unimaginable what kind of mentality she has. Lingyan Douluo took out a crystal ball. A faint light shimmered within, and a voice came from inside. Lingyan, how did it go? Did you succeed with that woman? I succeeded. Danger, when are you planning to rescue your little lover? You won't be played to death, will you? Lingyan Douluo felt a little uneasy. Unconsciously, she also felt a little worried about Yichu's safety. Don't worry, there's no risk of him being crippled. Bibi Dong's voice carried a hint of schadenfreude and annoyance. This was what Yichu deserved. Who told the Rakshasa god to have some problems and need such a madman as his successor? Who told Yichu to abandon her for so many years while she enjoyed a life of pleasure? Lingyan, take me there when it's almost dawn. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing, Bibi Dong said softly. Alright, Ling Yuan Douluo nodded, then asked, but Danger, how did you know she would act tonight? I don't know either, that's why I told you to follow Yichu, it's that simple. As the moon moved in the dimly lit secret chamber of the papal palace, Yichu, having taken the antidote, slowly awoke. He was in an open bathtub. Bibi Dong was adjusting the water temperature, then removed her clothes, which, with Zhang Zhu's help, were no longer dry, and slowly stepped into the bathtub. Her skin was as white as snow, her waist slender, her breasts full, and her buttocks round. Her fair body seemed to brighten the secret chamber considerably. Bibi Dong tilted her snow-white swan neck back and slowly soaked in the warm bathtub. The hot water stimulated the cells in her body, making them relax. Soaking in the hot water, Bibi Dong couldn't help but let out a few comfortable sounds. Splash! She cupped her soft hands in hot water and poured it over her shoulders. She believed Yichu couldn't escape, he would be hers sooner or later. Splash! Immediately following was Yichu's confused voice. What's going on? Yichu felt his soul power nearly dormant, leaving him somewhat dazed. Bibi Dong. Yichu's heart skipped a beat. Remembering Tang Yuhu's words, he turned his head and met Bibi Dong's gaze as she leaned against the edge of the bathtub. A hint of bewilderment appeared in her eyes. Why don't you seem surprised at all? Do you already know how I stole you? Bibi Dong rested her chin on her hand, half her body floating, 2 crescent moons faintly crossing the horizon. It must be your scent. Yi Chu's face darkened. He hadn't expected Bibi Dong to use such a method. As she spoke, his breath seemed to carry Bibi Dong's scent, rich yet delicate, sweet, and not unpleasant. But Yi Chu hated that she used this method to lock him away. Tang Yuhu's warning didn't mention she'd resort to such underhanded tactics. Haha, don't worry, I won't hurt you. Your soul power has only been temporarily paralyzed by the medicine. Don't worry, this medicine has no adverse effects on bodily functions and won't harm your body. Bibi Dong chuckled, not denying Yi Chu's words, looking quite satisfied with him. Looks like you don't dislike me. You didn't even fiercely resist because I captured you. Yi Chu gritted his teeth in resentment. How could he resist like this? He had no soul power and was chained up. He could only hope Bibi Dong wouldn't go too far. Otherwise. Oh, I forgot, you can't do anything now, you can only lie there and let me enjoy you. Bibi Dong suddenly looked at Yi Chu with a tender gaze, gently biting her red lips, her soft hand already submerged in the water. Her purple eyes stared at Yi Chu, her body trembling. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 755 Bibi Dong's attempt to force others. Yi Chu stared blankly at Bibi Dong, who was trembling uncontrollably. Was Bibi Dong's condition really that serious? Pope, peerless Douluo, you just put your hand underwater right in front of me? Looking at me, you even blushed and trembled. Where was the dignity of the strong? It was utterly moral decay and a distortion of humanity. Hearing Bibi Dong's undisguised sounds as she soaked in the bath, gently scrubbing herself, Yi Chu's eyes widened. He then lay back down on the bed, closing his eyes. He refused to look at the seductive, lustful woman in the bath. He continued to try to circulate his soul power. Bibi Dong made a slightly comfortable sound while soaking in the bath, her voice trembling with a seductive tone. Yi Chu, don't waste your energy. Even if you're immune to all poisons, you can't recover your soul power without my permission. Hearing Bibi Dong's scream, Yi Chu tightly closed his eyes. This kind of perverted behavior, he'd rather fight Tang San a couple more times. Haha, don't worry, I won't hurt you. Bibi Dong soaked in the bath, her body blooming with delicate peach blossoms. She glanced at Yi Chu and slowly sank into the water. Yi Chu was truly on the verge of tears. He'd never played like this with Liu Erlong or Zhu Ziuking. Now, he was the one being played. What a disaster. Did Yuhu say nothing serious would happen? If he disappeared and Liu Erlong and the others found out, it didn't seem like a big deal. The key was that Liu Erlong knew about Bibi Dong and his past. She should be able to figure out it was the spirit hall soon. It would be terrible if a conflict broke out. Yi Chu lay quietly on the soft bed, racking his brains for a way out. It seemed the only thing he could do now was talk and stall for time. Bibi Dong, what exactly do you want to do with me? What do I want? Isn't it obvious? Of course, I want to devour you completely. Bibi Dong looked at Yi Chu, who was locked on the bed, a wicked smile playing on her lips. She lightly licked her red lips, her purple eyes filled with madness. Yi Chu's lips twitched slightly, utterly speechless. He could tolerate being forced to confess to Zhu Ziuking before. Could it be that after all these years, he would be forced to do it again by Bibi Dong? No, maybe more than once. Just thinking about it made Yi Chu feel awkward. Hell, trying to stall for time? You can't even sincerely chat with me. What's the point of chatting? Bibi Dong sneered, a dangerous glint in her eyes. With a flick of her wrist, a handful of warm water splashed onto Yi Chu's face. PFFT, Yi Chu turned his head away, dodging. I want to have a serious talk with you, but I can't concentrate while you're soaking in the water. PFFT, haha. Hearing Yi Chu's explanation, Bibi Dong suddenly giggled. You mean you can't help but have all sorts of thoughts when you see me? Bibi Dong's eyes gleamed with delight. It's okay, you can look all you want, I'll strip you naked later anyway. Isn't what you're doing a bit inappropriate? Let's have a proper talk. There's no need to use such forceful methods. Really? Hearing Bibi Dong's words, Yi Chu felt even more uncomfortable. From what she was saying, she was going to strip him naked. Wishing everyone a happy life? I had some things to do today, so I'm just mentioning this briefly. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 756. You promised you wouldn't hurt me? Haha, there's nothing wrong with it. You can judge for yourself whether it's fun or not. If you don't have feelings for me, I won't drug you. But if you do, then I can go all the way. Bibi Dong's face was somewhat infatuated as she stared at Yichu's philtrum. That was the key, wasn't it? But could he really not have feelings for her? Even if he didn't, it would just be a matter of her wasting her breath. Yichu shivered. It's over. Tonight, he was likely destined to be ruthlessly exploited by Bibi Dong. Yichu kept trying to talk to Bibi Dong about something. Bibi Dong, slow down. Let's talk about the past. I don't want to talk about the past. Do you think you can make me let you go by pretending to be him? No. I will only squeeze all the love he owes me out of you. The sins of the father must be paid by the son. Bibi Dong's face was somewhat distorted, and her eyes were filled with hysterical madness. The sins of the father must be paid by the son. Yichu was completely dumbfounded. What's going on? Holy crap, when did I get a father? Yixiu is his father. Wait a minute. Yuho and Erlong wouldn't lie to him. Is Bibi Dong really a mad woman? Alright, enough talk. I'll treat you well from now on. Splash. While Yichu was still frantically thinking, Bibi Dong had already stood up naked from the bathtub. Hot water flowed down her ample breasts and buttocks into the tub. Her wine-red hair was styled in a bun. She lifted her jade-like foot and stepped onto the shore, her mysterious allure assaulting Yichu's gaze. He immediately turned his head away, not daring to look again. He hurriedly explained, Bibi Dong, I think you can calm down, calm down. If it weren't for him, why would Erlong have come to me, and Yuhua, and the others? Shut up. Don't mention those bitches in front of me, Bibi Dong coldly shouted. She had already reached the bedside, her delicate body trembling slightly, already standing there chillingly. Looking down at Yichu, whose eyes were tightly closed, she raised her hand and gently stroked his handsome face, slowly exploring. The shackles around her neck were removed. This part was getting in the way a bit. Bibi Dong leaned down, her soft, heavy body settling on Yichu. Her pearly teeth were already nibbling at Yichu's neck, playfully sticking out her tongue, creating a slightly slippery sensation. Yichu clenched his fists, the sharpness between her teeth, the softness of her full lips, and the slippery moisture, moving slowly, made him feel uneasy. The bathwater that Bibi Dong hadn't dried off slowly slid onto Yichu, wetting his clothes. The wet clothes clung to Yichu's body, and there seemed to be no barrier between him and Bibi Dong. He could even feel the tiny bumps on his skin. Yichu's breathing became labored, the fragrance emanating from Bibi Dong lingered in his nostrils, and he simply couldn't resist this level of temptation. Hiss, oh no. Yichu suddenly gasped, overwhelmed by Bibi Dong's sweet scent. A sharp pain shot through his neck, blood seemingly trickling down his throat, which Bibi Dong picked up and swallowed, as if she wanted to devour Yichu completely. Did you promise you wouldn't hurt me? Yichu's face flushed crimson. He didn't know when, but Bibi Dong had already straddled his stomach. Although her weight was close, her softness made it hard for Yichu to breathe. Hell, it's just a minor injury. Bibi Dong raised her head, her face flushed. A few drops of blood at the corner of her mouth, a wicked smile on her face. A minor injury is still an injury. Yichu looked at this crazy woman, genuinely afraid. What if she bit him elsewhere? It's alright, I've already eaten him clean. There won't be any more blood. Bibi Dong slightly bent her arms, tightly holding Yichu's head, forcing open his lips. Then she bit down. Ugh, Yichu's cheeks bulged slightly, as if some tiny beads were rolling around inside. A rich sweetness and a delicate fragrance filled the air. Bibi Dong was almost pathological. Her soft hand gently caressed Yichu's chest, slowly moving to his waist, still advancing. Ugh, Yichu suddenly widened his eyes. Bibi Dong's face revealed a sickly smile. She had completely controlled Yichu, and now it seemed she didn't need to waste any more words. Yichu had already submitted. Their teeth clashed, causing some pain. But Bibi Dong felt nothing, continuing to gnaw. Fortunately, she knew her limits when she used her strength. She had no intention of harming Yichu. Outside the secret room, Lingyuan Douluo had somehow appeared there. The sky outside. The eastern horizon was already showing the first light of dawn. It would soon be daylight. Inside the room, Xiao Lan lay horizontally on the bed, her delicate little toes almost touching Han Qiushan's pink lips. Jiang Zhu and Bai Chengxiang were still unconscious, showing no sign of opening their eyes. The two were already embracing each other, each thinking they were holding Yichu. Liu Erlong and Xiao Wu were together, Xiao Wu leaning against a soft neck pillow, a little drool at the corner of her mouth. Du Yuyan, Yi Lingling, Ning Rongrong, and Zhu Ziuqing were still fast asleep. The achievement of winning the Soul Master competition made them sleep soundly, and they were even happier as preparations for their engagement ceremony with Yichu were about to begin. Only Jinrixu was tossing and turning, gritting her teeth. The more she thought about it, the angrier she became. Danger, when are we going to rescue your little man? If that crazy woman succeeds and we suddenly interrupt her, will she hurt her little man somewhere? Ling Yuan Douluo held the crystal ball in her hands, listening to the slight tearing sounds inside. With her rich experience of crouching in the corner, she couldn't help but let her imagination run wild. What's more, the protagonist was Yichu, whom she knew very well. She knew very well how Yichu and those women, including Liu Erlong, had played together. Now, imagining it was just switching places between Yichu and those women. But it was even more exciting. Hearing Ling Yuan Daoluo's voice and seeing her suddenly flushed face and restless legs, the crystal ball fell silent. Ling Yuan, don't worry, she won't succeed so quickly. They're still tearing each other apart inside. When dawn breaks, knock on the door and call the crazy woman out, not to mention Ling Yuan Daoluo. Even Bibi Dong herself was curious about what her other half was doing inside. Would it leave a bad impression on Yichu, and then be projected onto her? But that crazy woman was herself anyway, so there was no point in distinguishing. Alright, Ling Yuan Daoluo nodded. By the way, you said Nana used her sixth soul skill on Yichu? Yes. I don't know why, but it seems like neither of them is hurt. Silence fell once more within the crystal ball. How could she, as Hulina's teacher, not know about her sixth soul skill? She just hadn't expected her to dare use it on her own master. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 757 The Tightening Spell, just one kick away. While Ling Yuan Daoluo and the crystal ball were chatting, Yichu was nearly suffocated by Bibi Dong's sucking of his air. Bibi Dong had completely taken control of him, and very skillfully at that. He couldn't concentrate at all to deal with Bibi Dong's devouring. His breathing became disordered, and he was completely disoriented by Bibi Dong. Yichu hadn't felt this way in a long time. Even when he was a novice, he wasn't being played like this. Rip, hey. Don't do this, don't tear it, tisk. Yichu shook the chains on his hands and legs, watching his clothes turn into shreds. Shame and anger flashed in his azure eyes. If Bibi Dong had been gentler and obediently removed his clothes, he wouldn't be so ashamed. But this crazy woman, Bibi Dong, insisted on using this method. Haha, that's the expression, that's haha. Bibi Dong slowly tore Yichu's clothes apart, revealing her muscular abs and chest. Looking at Yichu's flushed face, a sickly look appeared on her own face. Bang! Bibi Dong seemed to have lost her patience. She unleashed a torrent of soul power, and with a slight tremor, Yichu's clothes flew wildly. Yichu felt that if he hadn't become a carnivore, he would have shed tears of humiliation. This was definitely a dark chapter in his life. Bibi Dong's purple eyes gleamed with madness as she looked at the hand she had just grasped, still warm from its touch against her face. Her gaze swept over Yichu. The moisture within her body had already been slowly released during her previous devouring, reaching its peak. Yichu, under her control, had also become flushed and steaming, even his head slightly damp. Bibi Dong, you really won't reconsider? You know you're the Pope. Erlong and the others are almost awake, and the 7 treasure glazed tile school is still under the spirit halls. Yichu hadn't lost his mind yet. He vaguely remembered what time it was and wanted to stop Bibi Dong from this gratifying act of forcibly offering him food. But before he could finish speaking, Bibi Dong bit his shoulder, drawing blood again. I told you, don't mention those bitches in front of me. Bibi Dong raised her flushed face, then pressed it against Yichu's chest, rubbing against him repeatedly. At the same time, her knees were already kneeling beside Yichu's waist. With Bibi Dong's frenzied movements, Yichu immediately felt a tightness on his head, a slightly uncomfortable constriction. She seemed even more voluptuous than Liu Erlong, and younger than Ning Rongrong and the others. But Yichu felt only helplessness. He still hadn't figured out what was wrong with this crazy BB dong. Haha. Yichu, nothing can stop me now. Your body tells me you don't hate me and are willing to cooperate. Now I'm going to go all the way. BB dong trembled wildly. Yichu felt uncomfortable, and BB dong also felt uncomfortable, unable to help but frown. BB dong could make Yichu empathize, telling him what she had experienced after Yixiu left her. Although her memory was flawed, lacking that dark period. But she truly possessed the memories of giving birth to Jinrixu. She didn't understand why her own daughter always opposed her. Although she also disliked her intensely, she never blamed or insulted her excessively. On the contrary, Jinrixu avoided her mother like the plague. Yichu, BB dong suddenly burst into tears, filled with grievance, indignation, and a touch of pity. Yet, she didn't forget her proper actions, enduring the tearing pain. Today, she would open that door for Yichu. Hiss. BB dong, wake up. Yichu tilted his head back, as if wearing a tight headband, causing his body to convulse. Just one step away from the final step. A heavy knocking sound came from outside the secret room. Thump. Thump. Who is it? BB dong was stunned for a moment, then frantically shouted outside. Seeing the relief on Yichu's face, BB dong sneered and shouted menacingly, "Get out. If you dare disturb me again, I'll kill you without mercy. Hell, don't even think about running away." BB dong sneered at Yichu, determined to solidify the matter completely. Yichu wanted to slap himself a few times. Why did he have to look at himself like that? Ouch! But the tightness of the headband and the other sensations it brought still made Yichu uncomfortable. Thump. However, the knocking on the door didn't stop because of BB dong's angry shout. Veins bulged on BB dong's forehead. Thump. Under the command of the crystal ball, Douluo was constantly bombarding the heavy stone door of the secret chamber. Thump. Cracks seemed to appear on the stone door, and someone could break in at any moment. At this moment, BB dong finally realized something was wrong. She had never told anyone that she was in the secret chamber, so how did the people outside know? Pop. A few sounds rang out. Yichu breathed a sigh of relief, but not too quickly, lest he displease BB dong. BB dong had already removed her headband, stood up, simply donned her papal robes, and walked outside. Her straight legs swung slightly, a little unsteady, and she was only wearing a long robe, which was still quite cool underneath. Hey, Yichu was about to speak, asking BB dong to cover him with a blanket, but remembering that this crazy woman had stopped, he dared not speak again. Finally, he let out a long sigh of relief. In any case, he had at least temporarily escaped this humiliating situation. But Yichu was still somewhat resentful. If he had known he would encounter such a thing, Yichu would have preferred BB dong to hide him and get injured. Thump. The door to the secret chamber was still rattling. Click. BB dong didn't speak, but directly summoned her martial soul. She slowly opened the door, intending to use her soul skill to slap the person who had interrupted her good time. However, before BB dong could make a move, the sound of the crystal ball came from outside the door. My dear sister, is forcing things interesting? Shut up, you bitch. BB dong's face immediately turned ferocious and terrifying, and she rushed out. Douluo quickly retreated, holding the crystal ball. In the blink of an eye, the two had arrived outside the secret chamber. Yuan. Whose side are you on? BB dong's face was extremely ugly, staring intently at Douluo, her body erupting with killing intent. The space behind her seemed to tear, as if a sharpening scythe was sealed inside. Your Holiness, please calm your anger. Yuan naturally stands on the side of the spirit hall. I hope your majesty will not make a mistake. Douluo dragged the crystal ball in her hand, 9 spirit rings rising continuously beneath her feet. To say she wasn't afraid would be a lie. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 758. It's going to be a long time, I'm afraid you'll get addicted. Good sister, don't be impatient. A voice identical to that of Pope BB dong echoed from within the crystal ball. Shut up. You bitch. I'm the elder sister, Pope BB dong coldly shouted, the enormous scythe behind her almost fully materializing. How, what you say doesn't count, shut up, we agreed before, whoever is stronger is the elder sister, bitch. You schemed against me, Pope BB dong gritted her teeth, staring at the crystal ball with a hint of hysteria. The crystal ball remained silent. Scheming against her was indeed true, after all, The inheritance of the Rakshasa god's position required sufficient negative emotions. You bitch. You stole my martial soul, my man, and even the Azure divine sword he left me. And I'm left in such a miserable state, yet you still have the nerve to order me around. The Rakshasa demon scythe in Bibi Dong's hand seemed to be entwined with vengeful spirits, wailing. I'll say it again, I never stole anything from you, those were originally mine, the Azure divine sword was left to me by him. Not you, the crystal ball retorted. Pope Bibi Dong, however, ignored everything and paid no heed. HMPH. So what if you stole those things? I can still become a god. I will destroy your teacher's legacy and make him repent in hell. You dare? Bibi Dong roared, a red light flashing within the crystal ball. Don't forget, I'm stronger than you. I'll be back soon, back. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Pope Bibi Dong's chest heaved, her pale skin peeking through her collar. The purple halo on the Rakshasa scythe slowly faded. Aren't you afraid? You're no match for me. I can imprison you again. A cold, majestic voice came from within the crystal ball. Even. I can step over and kill you right now. Bibi Dong's words fell. In the darkness, she suddenly heard a fleeting voice. The Azure divine sword flickered slightly. Hey. Don't joke around. This plane is quite far from Douluo continent. If you really come, I'll be exhausted just from concealing the aura of this other world, HMPH. Why not? You set up this 9th trial for me. Can I even go back to visit my family? Bibi Dong coldly complained to the Azure divine sword. In this abyss, she didn't even have the chance to talk to anyone. Although Era looked human, she couldn't come out to keep her company. You can go back, but not now. After all, that kid needs your help to get the Azure divine sword. A voice came from the Azure divine sword again. Bibi Dong continued, then help me tear open a crack so I can scare my half that's almost gone mad. Otherwise, if I don't rescue him, it will definitely delay your plan. Just a crack? No problem. Wait for me to operate. The voice from the Azure divine sword gradually weakened. He couldn't be distracted while doing these things. If that pedantic guy found out, he might hold a meeting and severely reprimand him. I'm sick of hearing it. Pope Bibi Dong was stunned. Her hand, about to swing the Rakshasa demon scythe, paused. Swoosh. A soft sound rang in the ears of Ling Yuan Douluo and Pope Bibi Dong. The space beside Ling Yuan Douluo suddenly cracked open, and some strange aura seemed to rush in. My dear sister, I'll say it again, release him first, and wait for my return. We'll compete fairly. Bibi Dong didn't press the issue further. But Pope Bibi Dong's face was extremely ugly. She had already taken off her clothes, and Yi Chu's head was no longer visible. Yet she was being asked to let go? Was she wearing that robe, completely naked underneath, just to give Yi Chu a glimpse and cool off? And you know, his disappearance will definitely alert Liu Erlong and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. If things get out of hand, your plan to rule the continent will probably have to end prematurely, right? If I'm not mistaken, those filthy things from the Sun and Moon continent have already come over. My silly sister, don't let love cloud your judgment. Pope Bibi Dong's face flushed red. Even so, I'll finish my business first before putting him back. I've already cleaned him up. He's neither here nor there, just short of sitting down. The madwoman's ravings made Ling Yuan Daluo's eyes widen. Could she even listen to this? Would she be silenced? Bibi Dong, inside the crystal ball, immediately intervened. No. You have no idea how long he'll last. What if you get addicted? Bibi Dong couldn't let her succeed. She herself hadn't even been loved yet. Even the being within the Azure divine sword scurried away. The spatial rift closed again. He simply couldn't understand these women. Bibi Dong was like that. The Rakshasa and the angel were the same. Pope Bibi Dong's bare legs trembled slightly. Thinking of Tang Yuhe's screams in the cave years ago, she had to admit that she might have fainted too. Yi Chu lay in the secret chamber, his anger still burning. But being naked and alone, chained to the bed, was a first for him, and he felt ashamed no matter what. Yi Chu could only vaguely hear the arguing outside. He didn't know how much time had passed. A beautiful figure in black soft armor stepped into the secret chamber. Seeing Yi Chu's imposing figure, her eyes widened. Before, she had only seen Yi Chu's muscular build and powerful arms, the sense of strength in the face of hardship and relentless progress, when she was crouching in a corner. Now, to be looked at directly, pointed at by him, was a first for her. She almost ran out the door. Who are you? Yi Chu was also extremely humiliated. How could another woman appear? Whoosh! Yichu tried to cover himself with his hands and move his legs, trying to close them, but he couldn't. I am Ling Yuan Douluo, Yuhu's friend. Ling Yuan Douluo's face was flushed as she stared at Yichu and slowly approached him, even swallowing hard. She was filled with fear and curiosity. After all, she was very familiar with the sounds of Liu Erlong and the others in Yichu's arms, on the ground, on the table, and in the air, the sounds of pain and joy. Joy and pain, clearly two completely different emotions, could be expressed simultaneously, which made the still virgin Ling Yuan extremely curious. You've come to save me. Yichu took a deep breath. He never wanted to see Ling Yuan again. She was just too embarrassing. Ling Yuan Douluo nodded. That's right, I've come to save you. I'll give you the medicine now, wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 759 An offense from Spirit Kite Douluo. Medicine. What medicine? Hearing that Ling Yuan Douluo was going to feed him medicine, Yichu couldn't help but glance at his own muscular body. In his current state, did he really need medicine? Wasn't Bibi Dong afraid of exhausting herself? Pa. What are you thinking? I'm here to save you, of course I'm going to give you the antidote. Ling Yuan Douluo's earlobes turned red, flustered by Yichu's strange gaze. Yichu's face flushed. He had just been terrified by Bibi Dong's torment. Who is this good man who grabbed his neck and chest and bit him, and even tore at his clothes like a mad woman? Later, she almost devoured him all by herself. Then could you please cover me with a blanket first? HMPH, Ling Yuan Douluo snorted coldly. She walked forward, sat on the edge of the bed, and gently stroked Yichu's chest, her gaze drifting towards his stomach and lower abdomen. Yichu couldn't help but tremble, becoming increasingly excited. Hey! What are you doing? Ling Yuan Douluo glanced at Yichu, whose body trembled slightly as she stroked him. She couldn't help but spit inwardly. Did this kid want to slap her? I really don't know how Yuhu and the others could have taken a liking to a guy like you. For some reason, Ling Yuan Douluo swallowed the words little man back down. But her shy expression and the hand still stroking Yichu's body betrayed her inner thoughts. Yichu took a deep breath to calm himself down. As soon as he opened his eyes, Ling Yuan Douluo's beautiful face was already in front of him. Is it really that comfortable? Ling Yuan Douluo looked at Yichu, stroking his chest, staring at his still slightly moist red lips that belonged to Bibi Dong. Some thoughts, once they arise, will corrode a person like poison. So much time spent squatting in the corner, and the words between Bibi Dong's two halves just now, had brought Ling Yuan Douluo's curiosity to its peak. Hey! What are you doing? Yichu was shocked to see Ling Yuan slowly leaning down. I'm just trying, consider it payment for saving you. You can't tell Yuhua. Ling Yuan Douluo pursed her red lips, swallowed the antidote, and pressed herself against Yichu. Ugh! Yichu's eyes widened. This terrible feeling again, being molested by two women in one day. Ling Yuan Douluo felt her mind go blank, only thinking of slowly, gently biting Yichu and swallowing him. Yuhu hadn't lied to her after all. Yichu had no time to pay attention to Ling Yuan Douluo's teasing, constantly searching for his antidote. Once he recovered his soul power, nothing could hold him back. Ugh! Ling Yuan Douluo's eyes gleamed with excitement. Yichu was skilled, even while searching for the antidote, he didn't hurt her. Instead, he gently searched for the pill and then snuggled up to her. Ling Yuan Douluo was somewhat reluctant. Every time Yichu was about to successfully take the antidote, Ling Yuan Douluo would simply flick it slightly, snatching it back. It even carried a strange sweetness and a natural fragrance. Yichu's eyes widened. What was wrong with this woman? Was she deliberately toying with him? Yichu tried again. But he failed each time. Instead, the antidote, through their combined efforts, continued to circulate, squeeze, and collide, dissolving and slowly seeping into Yichu's body. Great, Yichu thought to himself. As the medicine slowly dissolved and flowed into Yichu's body, his soul power gradually returned to normal. Yichu immediately tried to activate his soul skill. Of course, Yichu didn't activate Divine Might. Instead, he directly activated his blue-silver Emperor Martial Soul, completely snatching the antidote from Ling Yuan Douluo, even absorbing it forcefully, not letting go of the dissolved liquid. Whoa! This time, it was Ling Yuan Douluo's turn to widen her eyes. Yichu could actually use his martial soul. He even bound the main force that was fighting him for the pill and snatched the medicinal liquid that was docked on it. Such power made Ling Yuan Douluo tremble all over. Looking at Yichu, her face flushed red, and the fragrance of the blue silver emperor and Yichu's aura overflowed from her mouth and nose. Ah! Ling Yuan Douluo suddenly cried out. She then collapsed onto the bed. Yichu's figure had already turned into vortex and left, leaving Ling Yuan lying on the still warm spot, drooling, her face flushed, and her body trembling with excitement. Ling Yuan opened her mouth, stuck out her tongue, and breathed heavily. The air seemed to be filled with Yichu's aura. I've really gone mad. Ling Yuan Douluo looked towards the door of the secret chamber. Fortunately, His Holiness the Pope had left, or he would definitely have killed her. Having watched Yichu and Zhu Zhuking for so long, she was already driven mad. Now, after trying it herself, she was getting carried away. With the excess moisture released from her body, she truly understood what it felt like for Liu Erlong and the others to be so violently attacked. It was indeed a bittersweet experience, but the pleasure clearly outweighed the pain. After all, she was still trembling slightly, and this was only a brief face-to-face confrontation with Yichu. Although Yichu used his spirit attack, it was perfectly timed. In short, Ling Yuan Douluo had had enough of being relegated to the corner. Having tasted the bitterness, she might not remain obedient in the future. While Ling Yuan Douluo dragged her now dampened leather coat back to her residence, Yichu was lying in his divine might space, reflecting on his experience the previous night. The spirit hall had truly broadened his horizons. But thinking of Liu Erlong and the others still outside, and how they would worry and even cause trouble if they found out he was gone, Yichu didn't even wait for his body to fully recover. He simply changed his clothes and returned to the room where Jiangsu and Bai Chengxiang were. The two women were still fast asleep, embracing each other. Yichu could even smell the lingering fragrance left by Bibi Dong when she had been there, and the damp stains on the floor. Without disturbing the two women, Yichu took the opportunity to go into the bathroom and began to clean himself up, feeling both amused and exasperated. He never thought he would have such a day. Was this Yuhe and Bibi Dong's punishment for him? It really left a deep impression on him. Could that Ling Yuan Douluo also have been arranged by Yuhe? Sigh, Yichu lay in the bathtub, thankful that he had returned in time. Otherwise, if he had really fought with Bibi Dong, he probably wouldn't have made it back in time. The relationship between the 7 treasure glazed tile school and the spirit hall might break down rapidly, and then war would break out. Yichu had no doubt about this. After all, Ningrongrong was still waiting for his explanation. Yichu slowly used his life force to heal the wounds inflicted by Bibi Dong. Then soaked himself in cold water to calm himself down. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 760, a secluded training ground. Yichu lay in the bathtub, soaking in cold water, which finally suppressed his anger. Knock knock. As dawn broke, a knock sounded on Yichu's door. Brother, get up and have breakfast. We'll go home after breakfast. Ziolan's sweet, clear voice rang out. Husband, hurry up, don't keep Senior Douluo and the others waiting, Liu Erlong called gently. Okay, I'll be right there. Yichu dressed neatly and came out of the bathroom. He went to the bedside and used blue silver fragrance and life-giving elixir to soothe the two women. Bai Chengxiang and Jiangsu slowly woke up, their faces flushed with embarrassment at Yichu's hot hands on them. Yichu remained calm, withdrawing his hands and instructing, Jiangsu, Xiangxiang, get up quickly, Erlong and the others are already urging us, The two women nodded slightly, got up, dressed, washed, and then took Yichu's arm as they left the room. They had just stepped out and turned a corner. Yichu then saw Jinringsu, who, like him, hadn't slept well all night. Jinringsu glanced at Yichu subtly, then turned and left angrily. Yichu shook his head helplessly. He couldn't do anything about this situation unless Jinringsu was willing to join them. But was that even possible? He had gone to great lengths to get Jinringsu to ignore the other girls, they had only truly met once. Asking Jinringsu to join them was problematic, not only because she wouldn't want to, but also because of her status. Yichu, come here, I've already served you everything. Ningrongrong waved enthusiastically to Yichu, her face beaming, clearly in a good mood. Yichu nodded slightly. He didn't tell them about his experience last night. It was better to keep such things to a minimum, otherwise he would feel ashamed. Ho Wu and Shui Binger, along with the other girls, had already left with their teacher yesterday evening. They were supposed to leave anyway, and Ho Washuang and the others had waited for them a little longer. It wasn't that Yichu was stingy for not taking Ho Washuang and the others to the Papal Palace Square, rather, Ho Wu and the others hadn't intended to invite them in the first place, so Yichu naturally wouldn't go and invite them either. When Hou Shuang and the others learned about Yichu's twin martial souls, his ability to use his martial soul true body, and the hidden strength of Blue Tyrant Academy, they were all greatly shocked. This was a level they couldn't challenge. Meng Yiren also left last night with Meng Shu and the others. Before leaving, Yichu accompanied her for a walk around Martial Soul City before reluctantly seeing her off. After breakfast, Ning Fengzi and the others walked with Yichu towards the city gates. Compared to when they left, returning would be much easier, only requiring a transfer through the divine might space. Walking beside Yichu, Ning Fengzi suddenly sighed, a hint of worry on his face. Yichu, what happened yesterday has spread faster than I expected. Now at least half the continent knows about your spirit ring configuration, your twin martial souls, and your martial soul true form. Yichu nodded slightly. I anticipated this. There must be Zizu and his group behind it all. I'm afraid pushing us into the limelight isn't what they want. What they really want is to publicize Tang San's talent and the long-standing feud between Tang Hao, the Clear Sky sect, and the Spirit Hall. Haha, kid, compared to Tang San and the others. Sect Master Ning and I are more worried about whether things will be peaceful for you guys in the future. Douluo smiled and shook his head, explaining. Senior Douluo, Uncle Ning, don't worry, I've already made plans. We've certainly made a big splash this time, and I understand the saying the taller the tree, the more the wind blows, and I know you intend to keep us hidden. Furthermore, I've already chosen a training location for the next few years, a place that's absolutely isolated from the world. In Wuhan City, Yichu wouldn't directly reveal the vast ocean universe cover, but possessing it, not to mention his own talent, Rongrong and Zhuking's talents alone were enough to reach the level of inheriting the sea god's divine power. Oh, a hint of surprise flashed in Ning Fengzi's eyes. Sword Douluo and Douluo felt the same way, only Jin Ringsu seemed to have some idea about the location Yichu mentioned. After all, Yichu's main purpose in participating in the Soul Master competition was to obtain the vast ocean universe cover from Zuyi, thereby initiating the sea god's divine trial. Ning Fengzi also knew this place was somewhat sensitive and didn't ask further. Since you've already made preparations, I won't ask any more questions. Just remember to let us know you're safe and sound, so we don't worry, Uncle Ning, I will. Yichu smiled, his gaze fixed ahead. The six-winged angel relief on the city wall seemed to be meeting his gaze. Immediately afterward, Yichu's steps stiffened, and his face flushed. Husband, what's wrong? Zhu Zhuking, walking behind Yichu, suddenly bumped into him and bounced back. Nothing. Yichu shook his head, looking at the equally hesitant figure below the city gate. He only wanted to leave this spirit city as soon as possible. The figure standing below the city gate was none other than Spirit Kite Douluo, with wavy short hair framing her face. Her voluptuous figure was tightly bound by leather armor, revealing full breasts, a peach-shaped bottom, a slender waist, and a delicate face. Upon seeing Yichu, Lingyuan Douluo blushed deeply, her straight legs trembled slightly, and her lips moved slightly, as if the fragrant blue-silver emperor wine wafted through her mouth. The memory of her first experience, not long after it had ended, lingered in her mind. The reason she was here was because she hadn't been able to resist her curiosity earlier that morning and had tasted Yichu's flavor, leaving her dizzy and nauseous. She had forgotten Donger's instructions to relay Yichu's message. She had come to inform Yichu. Lingyuan Douluo glanced at Yichu, then greeted Ning Fengzi first. Sect Master Ning, good morning, Elder Lingyuan, why are you blocking our way? Ning Fengzi maintained his composure, remaining humble and polite. How, Sect Leader Ning, you misunderstand. I'm not here to cause trouble for you, but to see Yichu. Lingyuan Douluo smiled and shook her head. When she looked at Yichu, both of their gazes involuntarily shifted away. Li Werlong, Du Yan, and the other women immediately frowned suspiciously. Seeking Yichu, Ning Fengzi was taken aback, looking at Yichu and Lingyuan in surprise. He could naturally tell that the two seemed to have something to say, but they hadn't considered anything romantic. Exactly, Lingyuan Douluo, slightly flushed, nodded with difficulty and looked at Yichu, saying, she asked me to tell you a few things. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 761. You need to get to the killing city as soon as possible. Yichu raised an eyebrow, temporarily escaping the awkward memory, but upon closer inspection, the thought that the Lingyuan Douluo mentioned was Bibi Dong made him feel uneasy again. Why are you playing riddles? Xiao Wu pouted. The other girls also looked curious. Anyone who could elicit such a reaction from Yichu couldn't be a man. She told me to tell you that after you get the Heaven Dao Empire's stuff, send it to Yuxuan. She also gave you a month to go to the Slaughter City. Don't linger in the land of gentleness, or she'll personally drag you there. Ling Yuan Douluo didn't care what Yichu and the others thought, she was simply relaying Bibi Dong's message. Slaughter City? What's that place? Xiao Wu, Ning Rongrong, and the other girls were all confused. Ning Fengzi also frowned, the name sounded familiar. Furthermore, the Heaven Dao Empire stuff was being sent to Yuxuan? What was it? Even though Ning Fengzi already knew that Yichu and the Yuxuan master had a close relationship, he was still completely baffled. Jin Rinxu understood everything. First, the thing from the Heavenly Dao Empire undoubtedly referred to the vast ocean universe cover, the key to the sea god's inheritance, the heart of the sea god. Jin Rinxu was also very clear about the relationship between Tang Yuhua and Yichu within the Moon Pavilion. Of course, what surprised Jin Rinxu most were the words Slaughter City. Slaughter City. She knew, of course, that Bibi Dong had once emerged from there and obtained the Killing God domain. Could that person be Sister Danger? A flash of understanding crossed Jin Rinxu's eyes. If Yichu had indeed returned and had a conversation with Sister Danger, then it made perfect sense for Spirit Iris Douluo to relay a message to her. But why would Sister Danger let Tang Yuhua inherit the sea god's divine power? Wasn't she completely powerless? And why would she send Yichu to the Slaughter City? Thinking of this, a hint of worry appeared in Jin Rinxu's eyes. The Slaughter City wasn't easy to conquer. Yichu's advantage of not being able to use soul skills inside wasn't very obvious. Leaving aside Jin Rinxu and the others, even Yichu himself was somewhat confused, but he didn't say much. Anything else, Yichu had already stopped thinking about last night. Ling Yuan stared blankly at Yichu, then suddenly remembered something and raised her hand. Alright, and she told you not to let Nana down, huh? Hearing this, Yichu was completely bewildered. Who is Nana? Who Lena? Why couldn't he let her down? He hadn't even met her yet. Hey. What do you mean by that? What do you mean I can't let her down? Yichu frowned and immediately asked. The other girls shifted their questioning gazes from Yichu to Ling Yuan Douluo. Anyway, I'm just a messenger, I can't say much. Just be prepared. Ling Yuan Douluo waved her hand and then flew away. She felt she would need to take a bath when she got back. Hey. Kid, do you owe some serious debt of gratitude? Douluo teased with a grin. Senior Douluo, you can't say things like that. I've already carried so many burdens. If it were true, I wouldn't deny it. Yichu shook his head and chuckled helplessly. The city of slaughter. I remember now, Ning Fengzi suddenly spoke, his eyes showing a hint of seriousness as he looked at Yichu with suspicion. Why would someone send you to such a vicious place? Vicious? Dad? What kind of place is that? Ning Rongrong immediately asked curiously, her eyes filled with deep concern. Seeing that Yichu hadn't refuted her at all, it was clear that he planned to go to that city of slaughter. The city of slaughter is a special existence among the continental powers, existing outside the entire continent, somewhat like a small world, Ning Fengzi explained slowly, leaning on his cane. Legend has it that this is a realm created by a master 1,000 years ago, after breaking through to level 100. Here, all soul skills are unusable, soul power is the source of strength. Only by relying on soul power or the initial form of one's martial soul can one survive here. Hearing terms like small world, the girls, who had experienced Yichu's divine might space, could understand. The fact that soul skills couldn't be used only fueled their curiosity. Sword Douluo, however, raised his eyebrows. So that's the place, Ning Rongrong asked doubtfully. Grandpa Sword, do you also know about that place? Of course. Back then, your Grandpa Sword also wanted to try my luck there, but Alice, Sword Douluo thought back to the past and didn't elaborate. The 7 treasure-glazed tile school had poured all its resources into nurturing him, they couldn't gamble. Instead, he continued, the city of slaughter can be considered a paradise for the fallen. Some wicked soul masters have no choice but to flee there to escape the spirit hall or other forces, because there, without the approval of the king of slaughter, even powerful soul masters from outside will be suppressed. Even titled Douluos will become weak due to the lack of soul skills. Simply put, the city of slaughter is a gathering place for villains, a paradise of sin, and the place with the most intense killing intent on the Douluo continent. Yichu was fully aware of all this. The most terrifying people in the city of slaughter weren't the fallen weaklings, But the desperate criminals who lived by the flesh? Getting in was easy, getting out was difficult. Most of them were extremely wicked, forced into that place where they could lose their lives at any moment because of illegal activities in the outside world. However, some people came to hone their strength, seeking to grow stronger in extreme environments. This group included Tang Chen, Tang Hao, and Bibi Dong. But for thousands of years, leaving the city of slaughter had been virtually impossible. First, one must achieve 100 consecutive wins in the Hell Arena to qualify for the Hell Road. Then, one must pass the trials of the Hell Road to escape and leave the city of slaughter. Leaving aside the numerous dangers of the Hell Road itself, the 100-win streak in the Hell Arena is enough to deter most. Each Hell Arena session requires 10 participants, private duels are prohibited outside the arena, and there are no rules inside, only the last one standing wins. And this battle must be fought 100 times. Not only in the Hell Arena and on the Hell Road, but the city of slaughter itself is fraught with danger. In the city of slaughter, everyone will stop at nothing to survive. Because that place demands endless bloodshed, it encourages the weak to kill each other. Therefore, in the cruel city of slaughter, everyone is an enemy, only the survivor has the right to speak. Previous chapter by Shen Hezhong, wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 762 The Turmoil on the Back Mountain of Blue Tyrant Academy. After listening to Ning Fengzi and Sword Douluo's explanation, Ning Rongrong, Liu Erlong, and the other girls all showed worried and puzzled expressions. Yichu, who on earth wants you to go to that kind of hellish place? We're not going. Okay, Rongrong is right. Xiao Chu, don't go to that kind of place. Jin Ringsu's eyes also showed worry. Alright, let's talk about this when we get back. Let's leave Wuhan City now. Yichu had already made up his mind to go to the city of slaughter. After all, before Ling Yuan relayed the message, Tang Yuhu had reminded him to go to the city of slaughter. However, it was really inappropriate to discuss these things in Wuhan City. Kid, you need to think this through. Sword Douluo now understood Ning Fengzi and the others' thoughts. Alright, let's go first. King, have you made arrangements with the knights? Ning Fengzi changed the subject and asked Zhu King. Zhu King replied, don't worry, teacher, everything has been arranged. They will return to the Heaven Dao Empire on their own. That's good. Ning Fengzi nodded slightly. Yichu, it's up to you now. Okay, Yichu nodded and led everyone out of the city gate. Before they had gone far, space began to distort, and Yichu and the others disappeared from their spot. In just a few breaths, they returned to the vast square of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school. Whoosh! A dark hole suddenly appeared in space, and Bone Douluo appeared. Fengzi, congratulations on your triumphant return, haha. Uncle Bone, it seems you already knew the news, Ning Fengzi smiled. Yes, I felt a little regretful that I didn't see Yichu and the others' final battle. Bone Douluo landed on the ground, looked at Ning Rongrong, and asked with a smile, Princess Rongrong, how are you? Did you miss Grandpa Bone after being away for so long? Of course I did, Ning Rongrong replied sweetly. But Grandpa Bone didn't see a thing. Bone Douluo's face was full of mockery as he looked at Yichu's arm, which was tightly held by Ning Rongrong. HMPH. Words are enough. Rongrong is sincere? Ning Rongrong snorted coldly, slightly spoiled. Haha, good, good. Bone Douluo couldn't help but laugh, not minding the joke. Teacher, King will leave first to report to the palace. Jin Ringsu didn't want to stay any longer, lest Ning Fengzi drag her along to arrange some ridiculous engagement ceremony for Yichu and those women. Ning Fengzi smiled and said, King, stay a little longer. I'll go to the palace with you to visit His Majesty later. It'll also prevent you from being alone and encountering any accidents. Jin Ringsu was stunned for a moment, then nodded. Then we'll trouble you, teacher. There's no need for such formalities between us. Ning Fengzi waved his hand with a smile and said to Yichu and the others, Yichu, will you stay at the sect for a while? Yes, yes. Brother, let's have lunch first before going back to the academy. Xiao Lan immediately raised both hands in agreement. Yichu smiled and nodded slightly to Ning Fengzi. Then let's stay a little longer. After participating in the Soul Master competition, Yichu's cultivation became somewhat lax. It wasn't for any other reason than that he had too many female companions. Not to mention nightly revelry, there were always plenty of intimate moments. These past few days had been spent on the road or in Martial Soul City, and now that he had relaxed, they were naturally restless. For several days, no matter what the outside world was discussing, Yichu and the others didn't have time to pay attention. Playing with cat toys, Russian roulette, riding rabbits from night to dawn, riding dragons across the sky and earth, scattering crystal clear petals, capturing snakes and exploring caves, snake tails coiling, with warm blue silver wrapped around them, enjoying the dual sensations of ice and fire. Besides these, Yichu also enjoyed different scenery. Ningrongrong's tight legs, Yilingling's slender hands, Bai Chengxiang's light jade feet, and Jiangzu's gentle and careful red lips. All of these made Yichu somewhat unable to extricate himself. In 7 days, if it weren't for Liu Erlong and the others preparing very sumptuous meals every day, and Yichu himself having the blessing of the blue-silver bloodline, he might have really had to lie in bed for more than half a month to recover. After all, apart from Blue Tyrant Academy, Yichu also went to Yuxun. He listened to Zuke playing the zither and enjoyed Tang Yuho's singing and playing instruments. There was also Zhu Huayan, who had already broken through level 50, and Yichu also took her to the starred-out Great Forest to hunt souls. He obtained her 5th soul ring and a soul bone. Zhu Huayan naturally rewarded Yichu well, in a way that was hard to express. And then there was her greatest advantage, attacking from both sides. Her 4th soul skill, Netherworld Shadow Clone, was used, and Zhu Huayan's clones left no room for retreat. Surrounding and squeezing Yichu in the middle, they began to massage him. They massaged him in the gentlest way possible. In the end, all 7 exquisitely beautiful figures received a portion of Yichu's gift. Yichu then sent them back to the secret chamber of the Star Luo Empire. From Zhu Huayan, Yichu also learned that Yue Bei had been imprisoned by Davis. At this point, Davis was undoubtedly the heir to the Star Luo Empire. The struggle for the throne on the Heaven Dao Empire's side was over. After thoroughly enjoying himself for a while, Yichu's powerful stamina even made Liu Erlong and the others feel inferior. It took them a long time to digest and alleviate the slight fear in their hearts. Yichu was naturally happy to have some peace and quiet. As for the Soul Hall, Yichu completely relinquished his responsibilities, delegating matters to Old White Crane to negotiate the engagement banquet with Ning Fengzi. However, Yichu also understood that the foundation and knowledge of a single attribute clan were certainly not as rich as that of the 7 treasure-glazed tile school's sect master. The most important thing was to consider Ning Fengzi's intentions. As for who the leading ladies were that day, Yichu didn't care. The women tacitly avoided mentioning it in front of Yichu, only discussing it privately. Ningrongrong definitely hoped that Yichu would be all hers that night, and she probably wouldn't consider the other women who were still virgins, except for Xiao Lan, of course. Ah, ooh, Jiangzu suddenly exclaimed, then suppressed a sob, quickly absorbing the sound. Her head swayed as if she were dozing off, her lips slightly parted as she wiped away the drool before sitting up. She gently clutched her chest, her heart pounding as if she had just had a nightmare. Gulp, she swallowed hard, her throat bobbing, looking at Yichu beside her, murmuring softly. And then got up and walked towards the bathroom, exhaling hot air. Phew, Yichu let out a long sigh. It was another morning. Yilingling, who had been lying next to him, had run off early, and the women had once again pushed the easygoing Jiangzu to take the fall. By the way, I haven't told Zook about the engagement yet, wishing everyone a happy life. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 763 Jinringsu comes to the door. Yichu, get up quickly, the headmistress and the others have prepared breakfast. After rinsing her mouth in the bathroom, Jiangzu immediately returned to the bedside, tidied up the things she had taken out, and helped Yichu straighten his clothes. Jiangzu, were you alright just now? Yichu took Jiangzu's soft hand, sat up, placed her on his lap, and pulled her into his arms. He leaned down to her neck, gently inhaling her delicate fragrance, his lips lightly touching her fair neck. No, I'm fine, I healed myself. Jiangzu sat quietly in Yichu's arms. She was already very content with this. She was just an ordinary girl from an ordinary family, an ordinary soul master. She gently held Yichu's hand on her waist, stroking it gently. Yichu, go wash your face. I've already prepared the water, okay? Yichu gently nibbled on Jiangzu's reddened earlobe, pinched her chin, and turned her head to kiss her softly. When Jiangzu's breathing became rapid and tears welled up at the corners of her mouth, Yichu finally put her down and got up to walk towards the bathroom. Jiangsu lay on the bed, inhaling Yichu's lingering fragrance and feeling his scent fill her nostrils. For a moment, she felt weak and listless, rubbing against the blankets. Thinking back to how Yichu had pressed her down when she tried to lift her head, her face was a picture of utter confusion. After a while, Jiangsu finally came to her senses. She tidied up Yilingling's bed in her room before turning away. Her short pink hair made her look very innocent, and her gentle expression easily won people over. Yichu, I'm going out now. Okay, go ahead. After saying goodbye to Yichu and receiving a response, Jiangsu blushed and walked outside. It was always like this. No matter what anyone did with Yichu, they would always receive teasing or mocking looks from the other girls when they left. Only Henki-ushin, she didn't know what to do. For the past few days, she hadn't been able to sleep at all. After all, Zhu Huqing, Xiao Wu, Du Yan, and Liu Erlong all had incredibly loud voices, especially Liu Erlong. Lying in bed, it felt like his voice was coming from the ceiling. To get a good night's sleep, she'd been training like crazy these past few days, only then could she avoid being woken up. When Yichu came out, the girls were already seated, waiting for him to come out and serve dinner. Liu Erlong and the others were very understanding. After being exploited for so long, a little sleeping in now and then was acceptable. When Yilingling saw Yichu, her eyes held a hint of apology. Her teeth and mouth had already ached yesterday, and she didn't want to experience it again so soon. Husband, come over here. Yan Yan will have Ling Ling apologize to you. Du Yan sat on the table, already possessed by her martial spirit, her long snake tail waving at Yichu, while simultaneously lifting Yilingling's veil. Yanzi, Yilingling, embarrassed and annoyed, removed her veil and glared at Du Yan. Haha. Do you really expect me to apologize in front of us? Ningrongrong grinned mischievously. Yichu's lips twitched slightly. When did the atmosphere among these women become so unhealthy? Alright, wrong, let's eat. Oh, right, I need to go to Yuzhuan later, okay. Ningrongrong smiled and didn't say much, directly sprinkling a handful of black goji berries into Yichu's bowl. After all, she was about to offer herself. And she couldn't let Yichu's body be ruined by these women, causing him to lose his composure when he came to her. She wanted Yichu at his peak. Even if she couldn't win, she had plenty of tricks up her sleeve. Wrong, didn't Xiao say last time that he doesn't like black goji berries? Xiao gave Ningrongrong a coquettish glare, her fair face glowing like a red apple in the sunlight, making one want to take a bite. Husband, let me pick them out for you. Zhu Huqing leaned over gently, her pleasant fragrance and soft comfort soothing. Zhu Huqing's skin was also supple and radiant, and being the youngest, her youthful face made her even more alluring. Liu Erlong was also nearby, every movement exuding charm. His voluptuous figure was light as a feather, and the thunder flame dragon wings behind him added a strange beauty. He reached out with chopsticks to pick out the black goji berries. HMPH. You're all just full-fledged people who don't know the hunger of the starving. I didn't put in many, Ningrongrong pouted. She just wanted a full night. What was wrong with that? Alright, Erlong, Zhuqing, no need for all that trouble. Let's eat quickly, or the food will get cold. Yichu shook his head helplessly, giving Ningrongrong a chuckled look. If she couldn't handle it and left him standing alone, he'd make sure she kept her promise to find another way. Noticing Yichu's gaze, Ningrongrong couldn't help but feel a little timid. After all, she had heard those sounds all night long, practically staying awake until dawn. She wasn't sure she could handle it. HMPH, but not wanting to lose face, Ningrongrong still glared at Yichu angrily. Breakfast time passed quickly. Yichu had already told the girls about Yuxuan, as well as Jiangsu and Tang Yuhua, and they hadn't made a fuss. They wouldn't stop Yichu from going to Yuxuan either. However, just as Yichu was about to leave, a teacher from Lamba Academy came looking for him. Dean. The Crown Prince is here, saying he wants to see our Academy's genius. The Crown Prince. Liu Erlong raised an eyebrow. She knew, of course, that the Crown Prince was one of the sisters. She immediately gave the order. Have His Highness the Crown Prince come here directly. Yes. Hearing that Jinriksu was coming, Yichu abandoned his plans to go to Yuxuan. He'd rather see what Jinriksu wanted to see him about first. After all, he hadn't seen her in the secret room these past few days, and she was probably angry for a long time. It was rare for her to come to him of her own accord. Why is Senior Brother Crown Prince here? Ningrongrong poked her head out of the kitchen, carrying several freshly washed dishes. We've already won the championship of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy tournament. Isn't it normal for the Crown Prince to come looking for us? Douluo rolled her eyes at her, gently swaying on the swing as she slowly strolled around. We'll find out when His Highness the Crown Prince arrives. Zhu Xiuqing, who had been sitting cross-legged under the eaves with her eyes closed, opened her eyes, smiled, and glanced at Yichu. Liu Erlong stepped forward and took Yichu's arm. Husband, aren't you going to go greet him? No need, he's already here. Yichu shook his head, watching the young man in brocade robes walk towards them. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 764. Accompany me back to Wuhan City. Yichu, come with me, I have something to say to you alone. From afar, Jin Ringsu saw Yichu, ignoring the other women, and directly fixed her gaze on that despicable man, calling out to him. Her words were laced with unyielding authority. Senior brother King seems a bit different today. Yichu, when did you offend him? Ningrongrong looked at Jin Ringsu with suspicion, her old doubts about the relationship between Zhu King and Yichu resurfacing. No, I've tried to find him several times but haven't been able to. Yichu shrugged helplessly and greeted Xiao Wu, Liu Erlong, and the other girls. Erlong, then I'll leave with His Highness the Crown Prince first. Please supervise Xiao Wu and the others' cultivation, don't let them slack off too much. Don't worry, husband, I will. Liu Erlong smiled and nodded, watching Yichu leave, her gaze towards Jin Ringsu filled with understanding. She wasn't entirely happy inside, but it didn't matter. Being older seemed to be an advantage, her sisters all called her sister, and that was enough. Zhu Xiuqing understood Jin Ringsu's thoughts even better. Jin Ringsu's status was far beyond what these girls could compare to. She was truly at the very top of the pyramid. Let's go, brother Zhu. Yichu smiled as he approached Jin Ringsu, a hint of apology in his eyes. HMPH, Jin Ringsu snorted, placing her hand on Yichu's shoulder, and said coldly, enough nonsense, let's find somewhere else. Okay. Yichu nodded obediently, his Sharingan flashing. Jin Ringsu avoided Yichu's gaze, gritting her teeth. This bastard, even at a time like this, he still wanted to use some underhanded tricks to make her legs weak so she could forgive him. Under Jin Ringsu's somewhat angry gaze, and under the curious gazes of Ningrongrong and Du Yuyan, the two disappeared from the spot. Rongrong, have you all decided? Liu Erlong suddenly turned around and asked Ningrongrong and the others. Ningrongrong blushed and nodded slightly. Sister Erlong, we've all decided. This time, it'll be me, Xiuqing, Xiao, Yanian, and Xiaolin, and Xiaolin too. Xiaolin sat on the swing, happily raising her hands, even her jade feet were almost upturned. That's good too. Liu Erlong glanced at Yirlingling and the others, a hint of disappointment clearly visible in their eyes, but mostly understanding. Jiang's who didn't care much about those things were already good enough. She was willing to serve Yichu, and if Yichu was willing to give her a title, she would definitely be happy, but if not, she wouldn't feel disappointed. She understood. Bai Chengxiang, on the other hand, thought there would definitely be other opportunities in the future. After all, Liu Erlong wasn't in a hurry, and even the older sister Erlong wasn't in a hurry, so what was she afraid of at such a young age? There would always be opportunities. Yilingling didn't think much of it. Before her martial soul's flaws were fixed, she didn't really want to take that final step with Yichu. Hand, foot, and mouth disease were all acceptable, but she couldn't risk anyone's life. Inside the divine might space. As soon as they entered, Jin Ringsu reverted to her female form and pounced on Yichu, straddling him. She glared fiercely at Yichu. Yichu, you bastard, you've been having a good time these past few days, haven't you? You reek of stench. Jin Ringsu gritted her teeth, her eyes showing a hint of weariness. Zuir. I actually went to the Crown Prince's secret chamber to look for you these past few days, but I didn't see you. Yichu let Jin Ringsu grab his collar, not resisting. HMPH. It's all because of your damn engagement ceremony. That old hag Zui is almost too sick to get out of bed, and he ordered me to supervise. To coordinate with the Soul Palace and the 7 Treasure Glazed Tile School. Jin Ringsu gritted her teeth at the thought. Yichu was her man. She could only watch him get engaged to another woman, and now she wanted to build a stage and decorate his new home. It was utterly outrageous. You bastard. Thinking of this, Jin Ringsu became furious. She leaned down and bit Yichu's shoulder. Hiss, Yichu couldn't help but frown. This time, Jinriksu wasn't holding back, she was truly angry, very angry. Ouch! Yichu suddenly hugged Jinriksu, rolled her over, and, enduring the pain, laid her beneath him. He gently bit her snow-white neck, his hands not idle either, lightly caressing her slender waist, carefully tucking it into his clothes to warm it. It had been a long time since he had been alone with Jinriksu like this. Damn it! You're doing it again. Jinriksu looked up, ignoring the taste of blood in her mouth. Her body was burning and slightly weak. Yichu's biting made her feel numb and uncomfortable all over. She couldn't resist even the slightest provocation from Yichu. Especially like this, being pressed into a corner, her whole body enveloped by Yichu's aura, being kneaded and molded, constantly changing shape. It was even more uncomfortable. Buzz! Golden light flashed. Jinriksu directly activated her martial soul, her golden hair and eyes transforming, 6 wings flapping beneath her. 6 soul rings swirled beneath her feet. Second soul skill, wings of nothingness. Buzz! Jinriksu, her face flushed, escaped Yichu's grasp, panting as she flew through the air. All you do is spit on my face, don't you have any real apology? Jinriksu looked at Yichu, who had stood up, clutching his bleeding shoulder, and couldn't help but shout angrily. Yes, but Zuir, you won't listen, and you won't let me. Yichu shrugged helplessly. This tactic, though shameless, was really effective. Jinriksu was used to being domineering, and he could only soften her first before he could communicate properly with her. You bastard. You don't think an actual apology means I have to sleep with you, do you? Jinriksu's 5th spirit ring flashed, and a sacred sword appeared in her hand, slashing straight at Yichu. Zuir, I didn't say that. I meant we should talk things out properly. If you have any requests, you can make them, and I'll try my best to do what I can. Yichu dodged Jinriksu's sword strike and immediately explained. He didn't dare to make any promises, otherwise, if Jinriksu wanted him to dote on her exclusively, Yichu really couldn't do it. Alright, Jinriksu frowned slightly, then immediately agreed, holding her sword. I need you to come back to Martial Soul City with me before that damn ceremony, okay? Yichu immediately agreed. This wasn't difficult, as long as he didn't run into that crazy woman BB Dong again, otherwise Yichu was afraid he'd really get a steel wool ball or something. Also, I'm asking you, do you really want to go to the City of Slaughter? Jinriksu's voice suddenly softened considerably. Her eyes showing a hint of concern as she flew down towards Yichu, hovering around him. She didn't really want Yichu to go to the City of Slaughter. Have a nice day, everyone. Chapter 765 Send them down to serve you. It wasn't just because the City of Slaughter was dangerous, even if Yichu could get through, it would take too long. The vast ocean universe cover was much safer. Jinriksu stared at Yichu, waiting for his answer. Zuir, I absolutely have to go to the City of Slaughter. I need to figure some things out. Yichu smiled helplessly, turned around, and followed Jinriksu's flight, staring intently at her pretty face. Don't look at me, Jinriksu coldly snapped, oblivious to her own feelings, simply because Yichu had been activating his martial soul, making her blush and feel somewhat captivated. Alright, Yichu smiled helplessly and deactivated his Sharingan. Jinriksu stared at Yichu. She understood that Yichu was no ordinary person, and he did indeed have some things he had to do, but she was reluctant. Anyway, you have to come back alive no matter where you go? Of course, I'm still waiting for the day you'll be my bride. Yichu smiled, spread his blue-silver wings and flew into the air, holding Jinriksu's delicate body in his arms, pulling her legs around him. Don't do anything rash. Jinriksu glared at Yichu, embarrassed and annoyed, afraid he would do something outrageous, but she obediently clung tightly to him. I won't do anything rash. Yichu gently moved closer to Jinriksu's neck, his full lips lightly touching her swan-like neck, immediately turning a rosy pink, and slowly began to nibble. The touch was almost imperceptible, yet there was an electric current flowing between them. Jinriksu tilted her head back, her face slightly flushed, her hands unconsciously wrapped around Yichu's neck. The 6 golden wings behind her, burning with holy fire, also retracted for Yichu. Neck, chin, cherry lips. Yichu and Jinriksu kissed for a long time before Yichu finally fell to the ground, slowly collapsing to become a human cushion for Jinriksu to lie on. You bastard, you're so stingy again. Jinriksu breathed heavily, gritting her teeth, her delicate body trembling slightly, feeling both uncomfortable and powerless to resist Yichu's actions. Zuier, you didn't come to me just for this, did you? Yichu didn't say much, gently pulling Jinriksu into his arms, his hands already cleaned inside her clothes while warming them. HMPH. It's that old bastard Zuier who wants to see you. You'd better stay at Blue Tyrant Academy these next few days and wait for his summons, Jinriksu snorted coldly, truthfully telling Yichu. She knew that Zuier was probably going to take out the vast ocean universe cover and give it to Yichu. This matter couldn't be delayed. Yichu knew the same. Are you really going to entrust a vast ocean universe to Tang Yuhua? Jinriksu suddenly raised her head, frowning. Shouldn't we keep it for now? You can still use it if you have no other choice, Zuier. You have to believe me. I won't let you leave me behind. I can't let my wife dominate the continent alone, and I certainly won't let them die here. Yichu gently covered her buttocks, kneading them lightly. He believed he could gain the favor of the gods. At least the god of angels seemed to recognize him, didn't he? Other gods should have him too. Ugh. If you dare to die, I'll kill them all and send them to you so they can continue to serve you. Jinriksu's face was flushed, but her words were filled with murderous intent. She wasn't joking anymore. She had wanted to possess Yichu long ago, and if he died unexpectedly, she would show even less mercy to those women. That's why I wouldn't dare die, Yichu smiled helplessly, beckoning her with his finger, causing her body to tremble and expel the dampness. He wouldn't let Rongrong and the others live as widows. You better remember this. Ah. Bastard, Jinriksu gritted her teeth, clutching Yichu's clothes tightly, deeply disgusted by his finger-beckoning provocation. She was powerless to resist and could only let Yichu bully and manipulate her. Time passed quickly. Yichu and Jinriksu lay there for a long time, discussing the Clear Sky sect and the evil blood Douluo. When Jinriksu and Zuier reported Mo Wuchang's provocation of the Spirit Hall in Spirit City, Zuier seemed to have expected it, calmly instructing Jinriksu to announce that Mo Wuchang had nothing to do with their Heaven Dao Empire, and that it was all Mo Wuchang's own doing. Although Zuier had become much more numb, often spacing out like a puppet, he was still the ruler of a nation. He had already realized that his body had been attacked, and that it had started when Zizu and his group arrived. Zuier was now somewhat regretful for letting the wolf into his house. At the same time, he felt even more resentful towards Jinriksu. He didn't believe that Zhu Bang hadn't participated in the plot against him, meaning he only had one son left, Zhu King, in his eyes. As for other matters, Jinriksu didn't have much information. They knew nothing about the internal affairs of the Haoshan sect, and Tang San's whereabouts were nowhere to be found. Perhaps he had already infiltrated the Haoshan sect's ancestral land. After all, Zizu seemed to have disappeared in Yongdao City, and it was highly likely that he had accompanied Tang San to the Haoshan sect to maintain order. After all, he was Tang San's adoptive father, so even the Haoshan sect master, Tang Zio, would have to call Zizu brother. Alright, take me back to the Soul Hall. By the way, do you want to invite anyone? Jinriksu, who was about to leave, suddenly asked. Yichu was taken aback, then nodded. Of course, but I don't really want to bring too many people. They're just ordinary people. I'll just save them a good seat. One table is enough, okay? Jinriksu nodded. She understood Yichu's concerns. Don't let family members be implicated was just a deceptive lie. It was always better to be careful. If those ordinary people were involved in the battles between soul masters, it would be their annihilation. Yichu raised his hand and put it around Jinriksu's waist, watching her transform into a man. He then placed his hand on her shoulder, and the space slowly distorted, their figures gradually disappearing. By the way, prepare a dozen or so tables of the same high-quality food for me. I'll have the villagers who can't come eat in Biao village, okay? Yichu wanted to set up a branch venue in Biao village, so he could show it off to his grandfather. Yuxuan. Yichu appeared on the top floor. Zhu Ke, who had arranged to meet Yichu long ago, had been waiting for a long time. Even though Yichu was quite late, she wasn't discouraged. Compared to usual, her face showed a hint of shyness and a strong sense of joy. Yichu, you've arrived. Teacher Yuhua is already waiting in the room, wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 766 The Summoning of Emperor Zui. How, Zhu Ke, Yichu came all this way to see you today. Zhu Ke's words had barely finished when Tang Yuhua opened the door and came out of the room. Why be so clear-cut? It's not like I can't hear anything. Yichu smiled and pulled Tang Yuhua into his arms. The scent of Jinriksu emanating from him made Tang Yuho frown slightly, and she gently pressed her cheek against Yichu's. "Come on, let's go inside." Yichu smiled and took Zukei's soft hand, leading her into the room. Next, Yichu naturally massaged the two women's bodies, truthfully explaining what he would be doing in the Soul Palace. What surprised Yichu was Zukei's attitude. Tang Yuho already knew, and shared the same thoughts as Liu Erlong. But Zukei simply nodded calmly, showing no discomfort whatsoever. Instead, her face flushed with a hint of anticipation. Unbeknownst to Yichu, Zuyi had already spoken to Zukei about their relationship, and Zukei naturally didn't hide her feelings for Yichu. Zuyi was quite pleased with this and explained his plans for Zukei. Zukei simply told her that as long as Yichu agreed, she would have no problem. Zukei believed that Yichu wouldn't refuse her and hurt her. However, Zukei didn't tell Yichu beforehand, only offering words of blessing and nonchalance. Yichu naturally didn't pursue the matter further. Did he really want her to be jealous or uncomfortable? Although it was still a bit strange, Zukei refused to admit it. Even with a gun pointed at her, she wouldn't budge. Yichu's trip wasn't in vain. Tang Yuho and Zukei escorted him away. The next day, Jinriksu, disguised as Zuking, reappeared at Lamba Academy, accompanied by Ning Fengzi. "Daddy." Ning Rongrong ran happily towards Ning Fengzi, grabbing his wrist and wanting to ask about the progress of the matter. Ning Fengzi smiled helplessly. "Alright, Rongrong, stop fooling around. Daddy's in a hurry." Yichu greeted Jinriksu, then looked at Ning Fengzi and asked, "Uncle Ning, what brings you here too?" Ning Fengzi chuckled and said, "Yichu, I asked you to come with me to meet His Majesty." "Oh? Uncle Ning is coming too." Yichu was taken aback, but quickly realized that the Seven Treasure Glazed Tile School and the Heavendao royal family had complex interests involved. Ning Fengzi nodded. "You won the Soul Master competition this time, so of course I have to go and meet this young genius. It's good to get acquainted, isn't it?" "PFFT, Daddy, when did you start joking like this?" Ning Rongrong giggled and patted Ning Fengzi's arm. Yichu couldn't help but smile. "Teacher, Brother Yichu, let's set off," Jinriksu reminded him from the side. "Alright, Yichu, let's go." The Heavendao Empire's Imperial Palace. The defenses inside were very tight. This was Yichu's first time entering this place. Most of the guards were also Soul Masters, but in terms of quality, they certainly couldn't compare to the disciples of those sects and members of the Spirit Hall. However, they had the advantage in numbers. Just near Emperor Zuyi's palace, there were at least 200 Soul Masters patrolling in shifts. Jinriksu led Yichu and Ning Fengzi to Emperor Zuyi's palace to request an audience. Soon, a guard announced their arrival, allowing them to enter the palace. Emperor Zuyi wasn't the only one in the palace. There was another figure that Yichu hadn't expected, the Imperial Princess, Zukei. Dressed in elegant and luxurious palace attire, she was serving tea to Emperor Zuyi. Upon seeing Yichu's arrival, her face showed a hint of shyness and apology. Yichu didn't look too closely. After all, this was someone else's home, and besides, his relationship with Zukei didn't seem to be widely known. Jinriksu, using the identity of Zuking, stepped forward to pay her respects. Seeing this, Yichu couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Jinriksu's disguise as Zuking was truly excellent, but the fourth Prince Zubang and Prince Zuzing's disguises were even more ingenious. In the original timeline, regardless of the process, they were the ultimate victors. Zubang became the sole heir of Emperor Zuyi. After Emperor Zuyi passed away, he became the master of the Heavenly Dao Empire. And now, Zubang, through unknown means or perhaps being coerced, had become a henchman of those evil soul masters. Although the outcome was still uncertain, Yichu would do his best to help Jinriksu. Emperor Zuyi appeared to be in relatively good spirits, with a rosy complexion and excellent health. Those who didn't know better might think he was perfectly healthy. But in reality, his life force was constantly fading, and he was becoming increasingly distracted. Yichu, with his sharp eyes, could even see a large pin stuck in the dragon throne of Emperor Zui. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Ning Fengzi and Yichu bowed to Emperor Zui simultaneously. Emperor Zui smiled and said, "Sect Leader Ning and Palace Master Yi, there's no need for such formalities. Please take a seat." Yichu was taken aback, not expecting Emperor Zui to address him in this way, clearly placing him on the same level as Ning Fengzi. Frowning, Yichu couldn't help but carefully observe the emperor. Through detailed spiritual probing, He clearly discovered that Emperor Zui was definitely suffering from a deficiency of both qi and blood, and his spirit was extremely turbulent, his breathing irregular and rapid. Ning Fengzi calmly led Yi Chu to sit down. Palace Master Yi, I heard from sect leader Ning that you not only possess twin martial souls, but you can also use your martial soul true form when you are a great soul master, and you are about to be engaged to sect leader Ning's daughter, is that right? Emperor Zui asked Yi Chu with a smile. Yi Chu nodded and said, indeed, if your majesty could attend, it would be a great honor for our soul palace. Emperor Zui smiled and said, haha, I will naturally attend Palace Master Yi's happy occasion in person, but before that, I have a favor to ask. Yi Chu turned to look at Ning Fengzi, and seeing that he had no reaction, he braced himself and said, Your Majesty, please speak. During the Soul Master competition, I already knew about your relationship with Zuke, and I have already discussed it with Zuke. Emperor Zui didn't beat around the bush. After all, Yi Chu and Zuke were in love, and he didn't need to appeal to their emotions or reason with them. Jinring Su, however, frowned deeply. She felt a sense of foreboding. She could already guess what it was about. What had been going on all this time? Were they all coming to make things difficult for her? Yi Chu wasn't stupid. He understood what Emperor Zui wanted to talk to him about and why Zuke reacted that way. She would also be one of the leading ladies that day. Zuke's eyes were filled with anticipation. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 767. The vast ocean universe cover is successfully acquired. Ning Fengzi wasn't surprised. They had already figured it out. Your Majesty's words are true, Yi Chu admitted. He believed Emperor Zui wouldn't make things difficult for him. Aside from his displayed talent, the most obvious thing was Ning Fengzi's attitude. It was clear Emperor Zui had sought him out for good. Emperor Zui nodded and looked at Zuke beside him. In this Soul Master competition, I intended to choose a consort from among the many young Soul Masters, and Palace Master Yi is undoubtedly the most outstanding young Soul Master in the world. Therefore, I wish to betroth Zuke to Palace Master Yi. What does Palace Master Yi think? Yi Chu didn't need to look to know that Jinring Su was absolutely seething inside. But Yi Chu couldn't let Jinring Su make things difficult for Zuke. Instead, he was secretly glad he had won the Soul Master competition, otherwise, who knew how things would have turned out. He immediately nodded in agreement. Your Majesty is willing to grant our wish and doesn't mind the Imperial Princess condescending to marry another woman. Yi Chu naturally has no reason to refuse. Good, Emperor Zui nodded in satisfaction. In that case, sect leader Ning and I haven't discussed this in vain. I plan to have Zuke also get engaged to Palace Master Yi on that auspicious day. It's all up to your Majesty and Uncle Ning to arrange. Yi Chu could feel Jinring Su's fiery gaze, but there was nothing he could do. He could only apologize to her later. He raised his eyes and gave her an apologetic look. HMPH, seeing Yi Chu's gaze, Jinring Su snorted inwardly, but she wasn't as angry as before. Sometimes, Yi Chu's avoidance made her even angrier. Zuke, how is it? Emperor Zui nodded in satisfaction and turned to Zuke, who was already blushing and beaming with joy, to ask. Zuke is willing. Zuke nodded slightly, staring at Yi Chu, her heart filled with joy and sweetness. What she had always wanted was finally about to come true. Haha. Good. Good. Before Yi Chu could speak, Emperor Zui spoke again. Hall Master of the Soul Palace, Yi Chu, receive your conferment. Yi Chu is here. Yi Chu stood up. He had never thought of kneeling before. He was very uncomfortable with the kneeling ceremony. Emperor Zui and the others did not find anything amiss. Emperor Zui said from above, Yi Chu is hereby conferred the title of heterosexual king. From now on, he will not need to pay homage. His title is Zuyi. Within the empire, he will be 3 ranks higher than any official. Hearing Emperor Zuyi's conferment, Jinring Su couldn't help but feel furious. This name was something she and Zuyi had come up with together. She thought that including her own Zu character and placing it before Yi Chu would be perfect. But unexpectedly, last year's Zu character wasn't Jinring Su's Zu, but Zuke's. Emperor Zuyi really went all out. This was Yi Chu's first reaction. He was just an ordinary commoner. Even if he deserved a title for winning the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Tournament, he would at most be a count. But now he had been promoted several ranks to a king. That was definitely not an honor that could be obtained simply by winning the Soul Master Tournament. Was King Zuyi trying to bind him to the royal family? This was clearly because he valued the powerful potential of his twin martial souls and the soul hall's strength, which was comparable to the lower four sects. But soon, Yichu didn't have time to think about it anymore. A servant brought a brocade tray to Yichu, covered with a red cloth. There was something raised underneath. Others might not know what it was, but Yichu certainly did. Inside was definitely the vast ocean universe cover. Emperor Zuyi smiled and said, "King Zuyi, open it and take a look. This is the dowry I prepared for Zuke." Yichu felt a little excited, and Jinriksu's eyes were filled with anticipation. When Yichu lifted the red cloth, the entire palace was immediately enveloped in a strong precious light. It was an extremely strange object, entirely translucent blue, three-dimensionally triangular. It seemed to be carved from sapphire, only the size of a palm. A shimmering blue light emanated from it, and strange energy fluctuations constantly emanated from it. On this blue triangle, ripples like water waves rippled. These patterns didn't seem carved, but rather alive, rings of blue light shimmering, casting a faint glow throughout the palace. Yichu stared at this object, his original primary objective. Beside him, Ningfengzi couldn't help but show envy. Emperor Zuyi, seeing Yichu's unwavering gaze, smiled slightly, a bitter feeling welling up inside him. If it weren't for his negligence, how could the empire have reached such a critical juncture? How could he have given away this national treasure? Yichu was so young, with such immense potential, and behind him were the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, and even the blue lightning tyrant dragon school. Aside from the spirit hall and the clear sky sect, there's no doubt that the forces he can command might already exceed his imagination. However, these aren't what Emperor Zuyi values most. Even if Yichu's potential is immense, he's still just a youth, unable to decide the course of a war involving hundreds of thousands of soldiers. What truly led Emperor Zuyi to his decision today was the hidden weapon shown to him by the 7 treasure-glazed tile school. If Yichu has the potential to become an invincible powerhouse in the Spirit Master world, then the Spirit Hall's hidden weapons are a match for 10,000 men. With a special weapon, the Heaven Dao Empire can truly confront the Star Luo Empire and even the Spirit Hall head-on. After witnessing the power of the hidden weapons, Emperor Zuyi had already resolved to fully support the Spirit Hall and the 7 treasure-glazed tile school in producing and manufacturing them. Yichu, as the Spirit Hall master and the actual controller of the blueprints and key technologies, still has enormous untapped potential. Recruiting him is absolutely necessary. In Emperor Zuyi's heart, Yichu is now even more important than Ningfengzi. This item is called the Vast Ocean Universe Cover. In a sense, it can be considered a soul tool. From now on, it belongs to King Zuyi personally. It has many uses. King Zuyi will understand once he infuses his soul power into it. Yichu's observation was extremely keen. Although the look of pain on Emperor Zuyi's face when he saw the Vast Ocean Universe cover was fleeting, he clearly caught it. "Thank you, Your Majesty." Yichu's goal was the Vast Ocean Universe cover, so he naturally wouldn't stand on ceremony with Emperor Zuyi. Moreover, although he didn't fully understand the ways of the Emperor, he knew that if he didn't accept this item, it would be equivalent to refusing the olive branch extended by Emperor Zuyi. As the saying goes, he who takes another's gift is bound to be obliged, and Emperor Zuyi probably had this thought in mind as well. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 768. The Azure God wants to ride the sea god. Alright, Snowleaf King, I will announce your marriage to Zuke to the world as soon as possible. Snow Knight's words once again filled Jinriksu with intense hatred. Announce it to the world. After all this bastards had done, how was Jinriksu supposed to face them? Next, Emperor Snow Knight didn't say much. Family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. He didn't tell Ningfengzi and the others about Zubang poisoning him. When he left, he only left Zhu King behind to give some instructions. Zuke personally escorted Yichu and Ningfengzi out. Yichu bid farewell to Zuke, sent Ningfengzi back to the 7 treasure-glazed tile school, hesitated for a moment, and then went to the top floor of the Moon Pavilion. As for the explanation to Jinriksu, he could only wait for her summons. That guy who seemed to be Bibi Dong had his reasons for asking him to hand over the Vast Ocean Universe cover to Tang Yuhua. If Yuhua could gain approval, that would be a good thing. As soon as Yichu appeared, the ethereal zither music from Tang Yuhua's room stopped. The door opened, and strands of gray-blue hair falling from her temples swayed gently. A smile appeared on Tang Yuhua's gentle and elegant face. She quickly stepped forward, took Yichu's arm, and buried him in the ditch. "Chu, why are you here, Yuhua?" I came to give you a gift, or rather, Bi Bidong asked me to give it to you. Yichu led Tang Yuhua into the room, truthfully conveying the message Ling Yuan had relayed. Tang Yuhua's face showed a hint of understanding, then she looked at Yichu with a teasing expression. She didn't press him further about what had happened to him in Wuhan City. He then stuffed a mouthful of hot food into her mouth, making her voice hoarse and affecting her class. I do know about this. Chu, if you have a better plan, you can give it to another sister. Tang Yuhua gently covered Yichu's head with her soft hand, slowly massaging it, causing Yichu to breathe heavily. He grabbed Tang Yuhua's hand and gently shook his head. I don't have a more suitable candidate either. Let Yuhua try first. It would be a good thing if you could be compatible and gain the sea god's approval. Okay, then I'll try first. Tang Yuhua didn't hesitate. In fact, she had been waiting for this day for a long time. Even if Yichu didn't give it to her, she wouldn't be disappointed. Yichu wouldn't abandon her. She withdrew her soft hand from Yichu's head and gently pressed her lips to Yichu's cheek. Okay, Yichu realized that he had unconsciously straightened up under Tang Yuhua's caresses. He shook his head helplessly. It seemed that he had gone too far these past few days. Even Yuhua had gotten used to grabbing him randomly. Without thinking much, the divine power in Yichu's eyes swirled, and a blue light appeared on the table in front of him. A bright blue triangle appeared as soon as it did. The room was completely bathed in a sea blue light. The soft blue fluctuations were so dazzling that even someone as composed as Yichu was momentarily mesmerized. Yuhua, give it a try. Just inject your spiritual power, but be careful. Yes, I know. Tang Yuhua nodded, holding the vast ocean universe shield in her hands, her eyes filled with anticipation. She disliked fighting, but she also longed for the power to protect her man. Raising her beautiful eyes, she looked softly at Yichu and gently reminded him, Yichu, I'm starting. As soon as she finished speaking, Tang Yuhua cautiously released her spiritual power, probing into it. She had only injected a trace of spiritual power into the vast ocean universe shield when suddenly, Tang Yuhua felt an indescribable force violently repel her spiritual power. Holding the vast ocean universe shield, she fell backward, her mind blank. In her last moments of consciousness, she only felt herself fall into a warm embrace, heard Yichu's cry, and felt something hide her head. Yuhua, Yichu cried out, catching the fallen Tang Yuhua. Looking at the vast ocean universe shield piercing Tang Yuhua's forehead, he immediately calmed down. His eternal kaleidoscope stared at the vast ocean universe shield, seemingly able to sense some of the power contained within. Tang Yuhua's consciousness faded. But the shock in her heart was no less. She specialized in mental power cultivation, and she was already a 7-ring soul saint, with all her soul rings being black, without any divine gift. If Tang Yuhua's mental power was strong, then the mental attribute energy fluctuations she encountered within the vast ocean universe shield were vast. It was a battle on a completely different scale. Fortunately, Tang Yuhua had input very little mental power during her investigation. Furthermore, given her extremely stable mental strength and the 80,000-year-old skill of the mental type, otherwise, the counterattack from the vast ocean universe shield alone would have been enough to damage her soul. The sharp tip of the vast ocean universe shield that struck Tang Yuhua's forehead had already created a small gash. Tang Yuhua's delicate skin was instantly torn open, blood flowing freely. The vast ocean universe shield spun around, then lay flat against the wound on Tang Yuhua's forehead, as if it possessed a spirit. Yichu held Tang Yuhua and quietly watched this scene. Tang Yuhua's blood continued to flow into the vast ocean universe shield, and the originally blue aura gradually turned red. Yichu tried to repair Tang Yuhua's wound, using soul skills and soul bones, but under the light of the vast ocean universe shield, it had no effect whatsoever. The wound showed no sign of closing, it only continued to flow with blood. Not long after, a faint blue light drifted out from the vast ocean universe cover, condensing into a very faint phantom. A somewhat impatient voice rang out. Damn. I finally waited for who knows how long, and finally I've found the person that guy Shiro was talking about. Tisk, her talent is indeed powerful, and her martial soul is enough to withstand the power of the vast ocean, but her combat power is lacking. I'll have to spend some time finding her bodyguard. Hiss, that beast seems quite good, sea god. Yichu stared at the indistinct figure in the air, his words filled with surprise. Hey, you are, that silly boy Shiro has been watching. Damn. No wonder Shiro wanted me to pass on my divine position to this woman. It turns out he's been wanting to ride me all along. Hearing the phantom's words, Black lines appeared on Yichu's forehead, followed by a twitch at the corner of his mouth. These gods have nothing better to do than engage in abnormal romantic relationships? Or are they all just this indecent? Yichu ignored his being called a fool and his mention of the Azure god wanting to write him, and instead asked in confusion, "Why is the Azure god watching me? Wishing everyone a happy life?" Chapter 769 Tang Yuho gains the sea god's approval. I don't know what he's up to. He could easily have sent someone to handle this, but he insists on leaving it to you. What a load of crap. The sea god's voice was tinged with resentment. He and the angel god were friends, both from the Douluo continent. He had long wanted to descend to the mortal realm for revenge, but Shura had stopped him. Yichu frowned. He had even heard similar words from the angel god, and he still didn't understand what was going on. Kid, don't ask. You're too weak right now. Go to the city of slaughter. That old Shura has his eye on you, you delicate little flower. Yichu was full of questions. Shura god had his eye on him? But Bibi Dong had already begun the Shura god test. What did Shura god have his eye on? Before Yichu could ask further, the sea god's voice faded, a flash of blue light, and the figure disappeared back into the triangular shape of the vast sea universe cover. The halo on the triangular prism suddenly receded, detaching from the wound on Tang Yuho's forehead. It spun around, first landing on Tang Yuho's shoulder, then rolling down her shoulder and into her palm. At this moment, the triangular prism had returned to its blue color, with only a slight red glow flashing at its core. Without the restriction of the vast ocean universe shield, the wound on Tang Yuho's forehead healed rapidly, but Tang Yuho remained unconscious in a deep sleep. In her unconsciousness, Tang Yuho could feel something pulling at her body and soul, the immense force making it impossible for her to control her body. Gradually, the suction made Tang Yuho weaker and weaker, as if everything around her was fading. At that moment, a special power flowed into his heart, then slowly into his brain, transforming into a cool sensation that combined with his brain. Although the weakness remained, his mind became exceptionally clear. He couldn't perceive the outside world, but he could clearly feel the flow of blood within his meridians, and even sense all the subtle changes in his internal organs. Tang Yuho's consciousness remained hazy. He didn't know how much time had passed, but when he regained consciousness, it was already dark outside. Yichu was no longer alone in the room. Zuke had also entered and was nestled beside him. Why is Zuke here? Tang Yuho rubbed his temples and slowly sat up. Seeing him awake, Yichu and Zuke both breathed a sigh of relief. Yichu asked curiously, Yuho, how are you feeling? Zuke said, Teacher Yuho, I originally came to tell you the good news, but when I arrived, you had already been lying in Yichu's arms for quite some time. What happened? Hearing Zuke and Yichu's words, Tang Yuho also felt somewhat weak. This feeling was similar to Yichu's torment after Bibi Dong drugged her, leaving her feeling utterly exhausted and weak. Tang Yuho's gaze fell on her right hand, where she found the vast ocean universe cover lying quietly in her palm. Strangely, its original brilliant light had vanished. Although still a clear blue, it looked like an ordinary gemstone. It's what made me faint. I never imagined such a small thing could contain such immense energy. Truly worthy of being the key to divine inheritance, Tang Yuho held the vast ocean universe cover in front of Zuke, briefly recounting her experience without any attempt to hide anything. Hearing Tang Yuho's words, Zuke's eyes were filled with shock. She never imagined that her dowry would be the key to divine inheritance. Then does that mean Teacher Yuho can break through to level 100 and become a god? Zuke, don't you want to take it back? Tang Yuho paused, looking at Zuke gently. Zuke clung to Yichu's arm, a happy smile on her face. Sister Yuho, why say such things? We're all family, and didn't you say you've already been accepted? Besides, this is my dowry for marrying Yichu, there's no reason for me to take it back. Dowry. Tang Yuho looked at Zuke strangely, then realized she had come to tell her the good news, and immediately understood. It seems that when Yichu went to the palace today, His Majesty had already betrothed you to him. Yes, that's right, Zuke will be with Rongrong and the others. Yichu nodded. Then congratulations, Zuke. Tang Yuho smiled, offering her blessings, quite satisfied with her student. She learned everything quickly, and now she wouldn't choke when she bragged. She had certainly taken a lot of the burden off her. Thank you, Sister Yuho. If I had to say, the person I'm most grateful to is Teacher Yuho. Zuke leaned gently on Yichu's shoulder, still vividly remembering the time she was caught stealing a kiss from him and was so embarrassed she cried. Alright, Yuhua, why don't you first inject your soul power into the vast ocean universe shield and see what happens? Yichu interrupted the two women at the right moment. Okay, I'll try it right away. Tang Yuhua nodded slightly and injected her soul power into the vast ocean universe shield in her hand. As soon as her wisp of soul power entered, suddenly, blue light bloomed, and the blue triangular object seemed to come alive. The misty treasure light flowed, and it regained the dazzling appearance that Yichu had when he first obtained it. The water-like blue light rippled and undulated in the room. Strange patterns appeared on its surface. Yichu and Zuke stared intently, their eyes filled with curiosity. Tang Yuhua could clearly feel the vast ocean universe shield's thirst for her soul power, and subconsciously increased the input. Zuke's expression changed slightly, and she subconsciously shrank into Yichu's arms, her beautiful eyes revealing a look of awe. Because she discovered that this seemingly small triangular object actually gave her a feeling of wanting to worship it. It truly was something of a god. As Tang Yuhua continuously poured her soul power into it, the blue light grew increasingly intense. Amidst the shimmering light, the azure triangular object slowly floated up from her palm, only stopping in front of Tang Yuhua. It then began to slowly rotate uncontrollably. Just as Yichu and the others were puzzled, Yichu suddenly saw a sliver of crimson light within the vast ocean universe cover. Immediately afterward, a surge of blue light poured into Tang Yuhua's brow. Tang Yuhua felt a tremor throughout her body. A vast amount of information instantly flooded her brain through mental transmission. The scenery before her changed. Tang Yuhua found herself immersed in a wondrous world. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 770 Ingenious Use. An endless expanse of azure sea and sky stretched before her. Beneath her feet lay the surging ocean, while above, the sky remained cloudless. Tang Yuhua stood between heaven and earth. A sense of profound peace washed over her, filling her with boundless tranquility. The weakness she had felt earlier vanished. Clear information entered her mind. Each piece of information was crystal clear, and the triangular vast ocean universe shield constantly shifted within this information, displaying its various wondrous uses. The method of use was easily imprinted in Tang Yuhua's mind. It required no memorization and would forever remain with her soul. Yichu and Zuke watched the scene unfold. As a beam of blue light entered Tang Yuhua's brow from the vast ocean universe shield, her body trembled slightly before returning to normal. Then, she was enveloped in the dazzling blue light, and like the vast ocean universe shield, her body slowly floated off the ground. Her left hand rose naturally and gracefully, and the vast ocean universe shield drifted into her palm, spinning rapidly. With each rotation, the blue light emanating from Tang Yuhua intensified. The brightest light shone from her head and arms, the locations of her soul bones. Zuke, looking bewildered, nestled in Yichu's arms. He could sense a strange change occurring within Tang Yuhua. Though he didn't know what it was, he sensed it wasn't harmful, but rather beneficial. Yichu, however, understood perfectly. Tang Yuhua was learning how to use the vast ocean universe cover. Rings of blue energy continuously solidified around Tang Yuhua's body, bathing everything in blue. Blue light flickered in Tang Yuhua's eyes, appearing crystal clear, like an extension of her aura, peaceful, elegant, and inclusive. Time passed second by second. When Tang Yuhua awoke from that wondrous world, it felt like only a moment had passed, but the sunlight streaming through the window told her it was already dawn. Unbeknownst to her, a whole night had gone by. During this time, Yichu contacted Xiao Lan and asked her to tell Liu Erlong and the other girls that he had some things to do and would be staying out overnight. Zuke snuggled into Yichu's arms and fell into a sweet sleep. Tang Yuhua's body quietly floated to the ground. Teacher Yuhua, are you alright? Zuke shyly pulled Yichu's hot hand out of his clothes, straightened her clothes, and wiped Yichu's fingertips. Yichu also looked at Tang Yuhua, receiving a bright glare from her. Looking at Zuke's shy and concerned gaze, Tang Yuhua couldn't help but sigh. Zuke, your dowry is really too heavy, Teacher Yuhua. This is all Father Emperor's will, it has nothing to do with me. Zuke gently shook her head and couldn't help but ask, Teacher Yuhua, what exactly is this thing for? Yichu smiled and picked up Zuke sitting in his arms, saying with a smile, "Yuhua, let's go into my divine might space and I'll demonstrate it to Zuke." "Okay," Tang Yuhua nodded with a smile. Yichu activated his eternal kaleidoscope, and in a moment, the three figures disappeared from the room. Arriving in the divine might space, Tang Yuhua's eyes flashed with blue light, and the vast ocean universe shield appeared out of thin air, floating before her. It moved with her, requiring no manual control. She distanced herself from Yichu and Zuke, standing elegantly and softly saying, "I mastered its use last night." Calling it a divine artifact is absolutely not an exaggeration. It truly deserves to be a key item in the divine inheritance. As she spoke, the blue light in Tang Yuhua's eyes suddenly intensified. A shimmering blue triangular pattern appeared between her brows. The vast ocean universe shield rose into the air, instantly reaching a height of about 5 meters. Under Zuke's astonished gaze, it rapidly expanded, growing 100 times larger in an instant. With a flash of blue light, it descended from the sky, enveloping Yichu and Zuke. The surroundings transformed into a blue world. Yet they could still clearly see everything outside, as if a transparent triangular dome enveloped them. Tang Yuhua explained, "This is its first and greatest use. Once this dome is formed, it's like a room that can protect us. At the same time, after it envelopes us, we become invisible. You could even say it has no physical form. It not only conceals our bodies but also completely hides our aura. With it, it can protect us in any dangerous place, as long as it's released." Hearing Tang Yuhua's explanation, Zuke's eyes filled with surprise. It seems somewhat similar to Yichu's soul skill, just a bit rigid. But it's still incredibly powerful. "I guess each has its advantages and disadvantages." Yichu helplessly ruffled Zuke's hair. Tang Yuhua chuckled, "Beauty is in the eye of the beholder," but she also felt Zuke wasn't wrong. Compared to Yichu's divine might space, this ability does indeed have some shortcomings. As she spoke, Tang Yuhua raised her left hand, the blue light disappeared, and the vast ocean universe dome returned to her grasp. Under Yichu's gaze, Tang Yuhua waved her left hand again, and it flew out again, heading straight for Yichu. Yichu frowned, suddenly feeling an inexplicable sense of danger, and subconsciously wanted to retreat quickly. But he quickly stopped. Tang Yuhua wouldn't hurt him. Yichu only felt a flash of blue light before his eyes, and the vast ocean universe cover suddenly expanded. In an instant, it enveloped his body. However, this time it wasn't as large as before. The space within it only covered his body. And his body was already unable to move inside. "Yichu?" Zuke looked at the blue cover with surprise and confusion. She looked at Tang Yuhua. The blue light flashed, and the vast ocean universe cover retracted again. This time, it directly transformed into a beam of blue light and disappeared from Tang Yuhua's forehead, disappearing into her brow. This is its second function. The first skill is called the Vast Ocean Protective Shield, the second is called the Universe Stabilizing Shield, the third is called the Vast Ocean Raging Waves, and the fourth is called the Universe Demon Slaying Shield. All are used for attack. I can feel that this thing is very powerful. Moreover, its power is directly proportional to my soul power. Among them, the Vast Ocean Protective Shield should consume the least soul power. It only requires 10% of my soul power to maintain for 12 hours. Unless the enemy can find it and break through its defenses, they cannot harm me. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 771 plans to send them to Poseidon Island. Tang Yuhua continued her explanation. The consumption of the Qianqin stabilizing shield is calculated based on the opponent's mental strength. It can stabilize anyone with less than 3 times my mental strength. But for someone with Chu's level of mental strength, it requires 10% of my soul power. Even if stabilized, it cannot harm the opponent. However, I can take the opportunity to leave, even if I'm thousands of miles away. The Qianqin shield will return to my side. How amazing. This way, no one can take the Qianqin shield away. Zuke's eyes held a hint of joy. Her indifference stemmed from her trust in Yichu. She wouldn't stand idly by while the Heavenly Tao Empire fell into crisis. Although she hadn't considered these benefits when pursuing Yichu, how could she not hope her man could turn the tide in a crisis? Of course, all of this was within her power. She didn't want Yichu to be harmed. That's how it is. Tang Yuhua nodded with a smile. As for the power of those 2 attack skills, I can't say for sure how powerful they are, but they shouldn't be weak, because each attack requires me to use all my soul power. But strangely, no matter how much soul power I have, I can unleash its attack, and it will absorb all my soul power. It's just that the power of the attack will change accordingly. The vast ocean raging waves is a group attack skill, while the universe-breaking demon is a single target attack skill. After listening to Tang Yuhua's detailed explanation, Yichu couldn't help but admire. Indeed, this thing from the sea god is really powerful. It takes into account defense, control, group attacks, and single target attacks. It can be said to be all-encompassing. With this thing, wouldn't teacher Yuhu have the ability to protect herself anywhere? Zuke said from the side. Yichu shook his head and said, even the best things have their limits. However, having it will at least give Yuhu more self-defense capabilities. Yichu is right, even the most powerful things have their limits. Tang Yuhu smiled and snuggled into Yichu's arms, tilting her head back and laughing. Yichu, is there something you want to tell me? Yichu pondered for a moment and nodded. Indeed, Yuhu, you should know that I will soon be heading to the city of slaughter, and Rongrong and the others have just become famous throughout the Soul Master world after their performance in the Soul Master competition. So Uncle Ning and the others want to keep them hidden away, but I plan to have them go with you to Seagod Island to undergo the Seagod's test. Seagod Island? Yichu, what kind of place is that? Zuke asked, puzzled. Tang Yuhu seemed to have anticipated this. Looking at Zuke, who was also leaning against Yichu's chest, she smiled and explained, Seagod Island can be described as a forest of soul beasts. However, it's different from any soul beast forest you know. Because it's an island. Many unique soul beasts and many unique soul masters live there. Only a very small number of people in the Soul Master world know about this place, an island. Zuke listened intently to Tang Yuhu's explanation, just as attentively as she would in class. Yes, a very powerful island. Tang Yuhu nodded and continued, let me give you a simple description, and you'll understand how powerful it is. Back then, the Spirit Hall sent 2,000 Spirit Masters to this island, attempting to recruit the Spirit Masters there. The result was a one-way trip. Less than 100 returned alive, and 2 titled Douluos were also lost there. Since then, the Spirit Hall has called Seagod Island Devil Island. The Spirit Masters living there call themselves Children of the Sea. Those who live on Seagod Island will never leave. After that disastrous defeat, the Spirit Hall never dared to consider going there again. If I'm not mistaken, there is at least one Supreme Spirit Master on this island, perhaps even a level 99 Peerless Douluo. Zuke's eyes were filled with surprise. There's such a strange place in the Spirit Master world, I've never heard of it before. Yuhu, have you been there? You hadn't expected Tang Yuhu to know so much about Seagod Island. Of course, Tang Yuhu smiled, tiptoed, and kissed Yichu's cheek. I've been there once. It was when the Spirit Hall attacked Seagod Island. I went with Sister Dong and the others. Yichu, you probably want Rongrong and the others to undergo the test of the 7 sacred pillars of Seagod, right? Yichu nodded helplessly. Seeing Tang Yuhu's confident expression, it seemed he didn't need to say much more. Of course I'm fine with it. It depends on whether the other sisters want to go. Tang Yuhu smiled and nestled in Yichu's arms. I'll talk to them about it later. I'll personally see you off. Yichu put his arms around Tang Yuhu and Zuke's waists, activated his divine power, and returned to the room. Chiu, be careful in the city of slaughter too. Don't worry. Yichu nodded with a smile. Zuke, like a curious child, asked again, Yichu, Teacher Yuhu, what exactly is the city of slaughter? PFFT, let Yichu tell you. Tang Yuhu chuckled, taking Zuke's hand and placing it on Yichu's head. Yichu's head swayed, and a slight flush appeared on Zuke's face. Thump. Yichu collapsed onto the bed, quietly watching Tang Yuhu and Zuke enjoying themselves. His head felt tight, and he couldn't help but vomit. When Yichu returned to Blue Tyrant Academy, it was almost noon. Liu Erlong and Zhu Ziuqing and the other girls were fighting. This time, Yichu brought Tang Yuhu and Zuke back with him. He hadn't told Ning Rongrong and the others about Zuke yet. Ning Fengzi naturally wouldn't provoke Ning Rongrong, so Yichu would handle the healing himself. Huh? Brother brought another sister back. Xiao Lan's voice made all of Yichu's female confidants stop what they were doing and look at the beautiful woman nestled beside Yichu, exuding a touch of mature charm, with a slender and elegant figure and a noble air. Yuhu, you've finally decided to come over here. Liu Erlong smiled, put away her martial spirit, and quickly stepped forward. Sister Erlong, I came this time because Yichu has something to discuss with his sisters, so of course I came. Tang Yuhu blushed briefly as she was stared at by her younger sisters, but the blush disappeared completely when she saw Liu Erlong. She was even younger than Liu Erlong, So why be so self-pitying? Du Guyan swayed her slender waist, put her arm around Ning Rongrong's shoulder, and said with a smile, "Is she the mistress of Yuxun? My husband's eye for talent is too sharp. No wonder she didn't come back last night. It seems she's too gentle, making it impossible for him to soften his heart, wishing everyone a happy life." Chapter 772. Where will you go by yourself? Ahem. Wrong, everyone come over here, I have something to say to you. Yichu rolled his eyes at Du Guyan after hearing her words, and pulled Tang Yuhua and Zuke to sit down at the long table in the courtyard. Xiao Chu, what's the matter? Xiao Wu noticed that Yichu had become somewhat serious and obediently sat down beside him. She looked at Tang Yuhua with some curiosity. Husband, Zhu Huqing wiped the sweat from her forehead and sat down next to Xiao Wu. Yichu, you don't mean to go to that killing city, do you? If that's what you mean, then don't say it, I won't agree. Ning Rongrong's clever mind quickly thought of the killing city and immediately stated her position. She didn't want to live a life of widowhood. Really? If that's what it is, Sister Xiao Wu doesn't agree either. Xiao Wu blinked her round, large, crimson eyes and raised her hand in support. Zhu Huqing remained silent. She would never stop her man from becoming stronger, she would just watch silently. If he failed, she would be with Yichu. Alright, that's not what I wanted to talk about. Besides, if I really wanted to go, you couldn't stop me. Yichu smiled helplessly. He had expected Ning Rongrong and the other girls to try and stop him from going to the city of slaughter, but it didn't matter. Zhu Huqing and the others would understand. I want to talk about your cultivation this time. Our cultivation? Zhu Huqing became interested, looking at Yichu and Tang Yuhua with intense curiosity. Yes, Yichu nodded with a smile and explained. Yuhua has already obtained the Sea God's inheritance. I plan to have you go to Sea God Island with her to share in the benefits. As long as you pass the Sea God's test, your strength will definitely improve faster than usual. The rewards from the gods include divinely bestowed soul rings, which you can obtain even after 100,000 years, as long as you can withstand them. There are also rewards for the soul rings age limit and soul power cultivation. For your talents, going to Sea God Island will be entirely beneficial. The Sea God's inheritance. A commotion erupted in the courtyard. All the women stared intently at Tang Yuhua, convinced Yichu wasn't lying. Yuhua, congratulations. Liu Erlong smiled at Tang Yuhua. Ning Rongrong, who had initially felt uneasy, also dropped her spoiled attitude. This beautiful woman could protect Yichu. Husband, are you saying we can also participate in the divine trials and obtain 100,000-year soul rings? Zhu Huqing's eyes gleamed upon hearing Yichu's words, especially the divinely bestowed soul ring, which made her extremely envious. She knew perfectly well that Yichu was referring to their cultivation, not including her. In other words, Yichu was definitely going to the city of slaughter. That was his true path of cultivation, while the trials on Sea God Island were only for their group of sisters. Du Guyan and the other women's eyes also lit up. Yes, Sea God Island has the 7 sacred pillars of the Sea God. To live on Sea God Island, one must pass the trials of the 7 sacred pillars. I imagine you will all receive good ratings and substantial rewards. Yichu briefly explained the information he knew. Besides, Yuhua isn't good at fighting. If you go together, you can look after each other. I'll see you off. And what about you, my husband? Aren't you going to face the Sea God's test with us? Du Guyan couldn't help but frown. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 773, 673, there is also a divine inheritance there. Hearing Du Guyan's words, Ning Rongrong also reacted. Yeah, you jerk. Are you planning to abandon us and go to that killing city? Xiao Wu stared at Yichu expectantly. Naturally, she didn't want Yichu to go on that adventure either. There was absolutely no benefit to him there. Yichu had plenty of what kind of domain he needed. Tang Yuhua turned to look at Yichu, her eyes seemingly filled with a hint of schadenfreude. Yu Lingling and Bai Chengxian couldn't help but stare at Yichu. Even though they weren't part of the engagement, they had already considered Yichu their man. Otherwise, why would they have lowered their heads and cooperated to let Yichu get his release? They didn't want Yichu to go on that adventure either. They also wanted to get engaged to Yichu, even if it would be later. Yichu pondered for a moment. He was also a little troubled by explaining this matter, but when he saw Tang Yuhua's gaze, his eyes suddenly flickered. Wrong, Yanayan. Actually, there are also divine legacies in the city of slaughter. That place is more suitable for my training. The city of slaughter also has divine legacies. Liu Erlong's eyes were filled with surprise and curiosity. Xiao Wu and the other girls were even more dumbfounded. Yes, and it's a god of a higher level than the sea god, one of the 5 god kings of the god realm, the place of inheritance of the Azure god. Yesterday, when you activated the vast ocean universe cover, I had a brief exchange with the sea god. According to him, the Azure god has already noticed me. I won't be in any danger if I go to the city of slaughter, Yichu continued. He wasn't lying, it was all the truth. The only falsehood was the information gap. They didn't know that Bibi Dong had already started the Azure god trial. Even if Yichu went, he wouldn't be able to obtain the Azure god position. Really? A god king? Ningrongrong was a little stunned by the word god king. A god was powerful enough, but how powerful must a god king be? I can testify that Yichu is telling the truth. That place is indeed the inheritance side of the Azure god. He will be fine. Tang Yuho had a triangular blue mark between her brows, and the vast ocean universe cover floated out, carrying a hint of blue-yellow light, making her words seem more credible. So Rongrong, I definitely have to go to the city of slaughter. I promise you, I will come back alive, Yichu comforted her with a smile. There was no reason why he couldn't pass the Hull Road, which Tang San could pass. His self-created soul skills were no less than Tang San's. Ningrongrong huffed angrily. HMPH. You better come back safe and sound, otherwise I won't live a life of widowhood. I'll follow you there and bite you to death. With that said, what could Duguyan and the others say? They could only offer their advice and blessings, and wait patiently for Yichu's return. Seeing that the women had all tacitly agreed, Yichu breathed a sigh of relief. Looking at Zuke beside him, he continued, by the way, Rongrong, I have something else to say. Go ahead, what is it? Ningrongrong looked at Yichu curiously. Actually, Uncle Ning already knows about this, but I still wanted to tell you. Yichu, quite unethically, dragged Ning Fengzi into this potentially disruptive family matter. He was telling the truth anyway. Ning Fengzi had known about Emperor Zuai's plans all along, which was why he was sitting next to him. Setting an example. What is it? And it's related to Dad. Ningrongrong's eyes were filled with confusion. She guessed, could it be related to our engagement? Zuke, standing beside Yichu, lowered her head meekly, but now she couldn't help but feel a little nervous. After all, she was like a relative, having cut in line behind Ningrongrong's back. This was true when she was with Yichu, and it was true during their engagement, making Zuke feel somewhat embarrassed. Yichu nodded, inwardly praising Ningrongrong's quick wit. He immediately explained, yesterday, Uncle Ning and I went to the palace to meet Emperor Zuai. I've been bestowed the title of King Zuai, and Emperor Zuai has also arranged a marriage between me and Zuke. The vast ocean universe cover is Zuke's dowry, and Zuke will be engaged to me on the same day as you two. What? Ningrongrong exclaimed, her eyes filled with surprise, not the furious anger Yichu had expected. Yichu, you've been made a king. Ah. Yes, Yichu nodded, taking out the royal tokens Emperor Zuai had prepared for him. Look, this is my identity token, and the mansion will follow. That's wonderful. Does that mean I'll be a queen from now on? Ningrongrong was overjoyed. Yichu, Xiao Wu, Zhu Zhuking, and almost everyone else stared at Ningrongrong in astonishment. It was truly bizarre. Miss Rongrong, isn't your focus a bit off? Your husband has been betrothed, Duguyan prompted, probing. I heard that, so what? I'm not stupid. Zuke is an imperial princess. I actually considered asking her to join me, but I never had the chance to meet her. Now that it's a betrothal, so be it, Ningrongrong pouted. She wasn't as unreasonable as she appeared. The relationship between the empire and the sects was deeply intertwined with interests, something outsiders couldn't understand. Sooner or later, they would all share a husband, so why should she offend the royal family? Really? Miss Rongrong, Zuke's eyes lit up. She didn't want to cause trouble for Yichu or disturb his peace in his harem. Coming from the royal family, she understood even better how negative these things would affect Yichu. Of course it's true, but I have one condition. On the night of our engagement, my husband must be mine. I've been waiting for this for a long time, and I'm ready. Ningrongrong didn't call Yichu anymore, but instead directly assumed the role of a wife, straightening her posture. Her flat-top pillow, which had long since become a neck pillow, was no small size. Facing the gazes of Duguyan and the other women, Ningrongrong couldn't help but blush. What difference was there between this and telling them in public what would happen that night? Yichu was also embarrassed and speechless. Zuke nodded, her face flushed. This was already quite good. She was the one who came later, and Ningrongrong's condition was reasonable. She should indeed be ahead of her. Sure, no problem, HMPH. That's fine then, Ningrongrong snorted, touching her face, her gaze darting away from Yichu. She remembered promising Yichu she'd find another way, and with the deadline fast approaching and her subsequent inability to speak clearly, she was starting to fear it. That path was heavily guarded, they wouldn't let anyone in easily. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 774 Jinriksu's Conditions. Regarding Ningrongrong's conditions, Du Guyan and Zhu Xiuqing, who were also the leading ladies that day, naturally had no objections. They had already been completely honest with Yichu and knew him well enough not to care about Ningrongrong's small request. Ahem, Yichu coughed twice and looked at Liu Erlong, Ningrongrong, and the other women, saying, since that's the case, then it's settled. Yuhua, you all should get to know each other first. When the time comes, I'll personally take you to the beach, or even to Seagoat Island, okay? Tang Yuhua nodded. She believed she would get along well with these sisters, even if they rejected her. Danger would take care of her. Being by her side, she could still be satisfied by Yichu. Perhaps Danger would even involve her in serving Yichu. After all, it was Danger who had taken her virginity from Yichu, so she had to take responsibility for her. That night, Yichu refused Ziolan's offer of the ice and fire devil heaven and went to the secret room of the crown prince's residence. HMPH. Where have you been gallivanting off to again? Why weren't you at Blue Tyrant Academy when I looked for you yesterday? And Zuke too, what's wrong? Did that old hag Zuya just bestow a marriage upon you, and you're already itching to become a princess knight? Jinriksu, wearing a spaghetti-strap nightgown, emerged from her room, her eyes filled with resentment as she looked at Yichu. Her straight legs were bare, her arms were fair and radiant, and her delicate collarbones exuded a bony beauty, her perfect figure curvaceous. Zuir, what are you saying? I went to Yuxuan yesterday. Yuho received the recognition of the vast ocean universe cover, which took quite a while. Zuke also happened to be at Yuxuan at that time, wanting to tell Yuho about our engagement, so we just happened to run into each other, Yichu explained, slowly stepping forward. The heat from being bitten earlier hadn't dissipated, and his eyes were still burning. He embraced Jinriksu, gently rubbing against her delicate body. It was smooth, warm, and fragrant, extremely comfortable, making him unable to resist. With a soft, delicate body in his arms, Yichu's hands couldn't help but slide, gently kissing Jinriksu's shoulder. You bastard. Who told you to hold me like that? You didn't even tell me before giving away the vast ocean universe cover. Yichu. Aren't you very proud of yourself? Let me go. Jinriksu's face flushed red, her shoulder, which Yichu was biting, glowed with a pinkish light. But she only struggled for a moment before stopping, her body weakly leaning against Yichu's chest, feeling a little uncomfortable from being rubbed against. Yichu had straightened up, gently pursing his earlobe. Jinriksu gritted her teeth, angrily saying, you bastard, you actually gave away the sea god's position like that. Zuir, Yuhu is one of us, and I've already planned to go to the city of slaughter to see if I can obtain the Azure god's inheritance. Yichu used the same old excuse, which saved him a lot of trouble. He lifted Jinriksu by the waist and carried her to the table, placing her on his lap. His warm hands gently caressed her soft, smooth thighs, roaming lightly. He held her waist, slowly kneading her. You're so generous just because she's your woman? Am I not? Why didn't you give me the vast ocean universe cover? You're still going to the city of slaughter? Are you really that confident? Jinriksu grabbed Yichu's fidgeting hands, gritting her teeth and scolding him. Zuir, you already have an angel god, you don't need the vast ocean universe cover. And don't you have any confidence in your man? Yichu gently pressed his cheek against Jinriksu's, rubbing his ear against her cheek. HMPH. You think you're so great. Jinriksu wanted to say something more, but she was speechless. Yichu captured her red lips, kneading and shaping them, and she could only slowly succumb to Yichu's embrace. A slight pain shot through her body, and Jinriksu could sense her predicament. She stiffened, as if to slap Yichu's hand, and slowly gripped his shirt, struggling to breathe to keep from suffocating. After a long while, Yichu finally released her. His red lips glistened with drool, and his bra strap had slipped, revealing ripples of white skin marked with faint red marks, like finger marks, still stinging. Jinriksu's breathing became erratic. Her golden eyes were fixed on Yichu, filled with tenderness. "You bastard, you did it again," Jinriksu cursed softly, grabbing Yichu's clothes and punching him twice. If this continued, she would become Yichu's little woman, a submissive kitten in his arms, on his hands, and beneath him, letting him do as he pleased. "Zuir, let's not talk about anything else. Just tell me, what do you want me to do?" Yichu gently squeezed Jinriksu's delicate body, her long legs already wrapped around his waist without him noticing. "HMPH. I want you to come back to the Hall of Worship with me again. I want to get engaged to you, even married, with my grandfather and ancestors as witnesses." Jinriksu's face flushed red, her breath coming in short, fragrant breaths, her pearly teeth lightly biting her lip, glaring angrily at Yichu, who was pushing his luck and trying to deduct her gold coins. "If you move again, my bath will be for nothing. It's okay, we'll do it together later." Yichu didn't mind at all, instead beckoning Jinriksu with his finger, making her face turn red with anger, her body trembling, and she spat at Yichu. Clamping Yichu's hand between her legs, she gritted her teeth and said, "Don't even think about it, but you're going to marry me. Can't you even do this?" Yichu stopped, staring at Jinriksu teasingly, his large hand gently resting on her soft belly. "No. Don't think that just because we're married you can take advantage of me. I won't let you succeed until the final battle." Jinriksu held Yichu's slightly damp hand, sniffing the air, feeling a little dizzy. She picked up her nightgown and wiped the saliva she had spat on Yichu's hand clean. "Alright, when are we going to the offering hall?" Jinriksu's answer was exactly what Yichu expected. He hadn't thought that Jinriksu would offer herself to him so quickly. "Tomorrow night." Jinriksu gently leaned against Yichu's chest, her soft hand resting on Yichu's head, slowly rubbing it under Yichu's surprised gaze. "Zuir, you?" Yichu stared in surprise at Jinriksu's heaving body. He remembered the last time was on the small boat at sea, when Jinriksu stepped on his head. That was the first time Jinriksu had made him feel happy, but he hadn't expected this time to be different. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 775 Tang-san returns home, both excited, 4,000-word chapter. Seeing Yichu's expression, which seemed both uncomfortable and comfortable, Jinriksu's touch on his head softened unconsciously. Compared to the time at the beach when she had trampled Yichu underfoot, Jinriksu could now feel Yichu's warmth and the powerful strength he possessed. "HMPH. Since we're getting married, even if I can't give you the best, I won't let you be idle." Jinriksu blushed, seemingly retaliating against Yichu's previous manipulation, gripping his head with even more force, causing Yichu to grimace. "Zuir, but isn't it still early for tomorrow night?" Yichu asked, puzzled. Ignoring Jinriksu's resistance, he wrapped his arms around her waist and slowly moved closer. Jinriksu didn't refuse and kissed him, her face flushed, holding Yichu's head tightly. Yichu gradually became breathless. It seemed he really needed to take a good bath at Jinriksu's place, otherwise his clothes would definitely get dirty. "HMPH. Today and tomorrow are two different things. I'll just consider this a betrothal gift to you, you bastard," Jinriksu huffed, while continuing to rub Yichu's head. Yichu naturally wouldn't be polite either. His hand on his waist reached out to pinch Jinriksu's head, as if to force her to let go. However, he could feel that Jinriksu's body, which had been soft, had become much harder and stronger. She couldn't resist Yichu's strength and was being kneaded and flattened. She could only bite Yichu's lip and struggle to hold on, while also putting pressure on Yichu's head, wanting him to admit defeat as soon as possible. "Zuir, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow night. I wonder how you'll keep me entertained." Yichu wasn't one to be trifled with. Even though he never got tired of peanuts, he still wanted to try something different every now and then. Besides, now was the perfect time for both of them to show off their skills. Jinriksu would only bite and pinch, while Yichu, besides patting her head, would also flick his finger to provoke her, making Jinriksu tremble with anger and spit at Yichu. You bastard, if you keep deducting from my salary, it'll be over." Yichu held Jinriksu's body, grasping the soft spot in her heart that belonged only to him. He wrapped his arms around her waist, finding the last barrier she had left him, gently stroking and comforting her, making Jinriksu sob and shed tears. "Bastard!" Suddenly, Jinriksu exerted her strength, yelling as she tightly grabbed Yichu's head, shaking it violently as if trying to twist it off. Yichu, startled by Jinriksu's sudden outburst, gasped. The power he had been building up surged forth, rushing towards Jinriksu's hand, trying to push away her soft fingers covering his head. Hiss! In Yichu's arms, large, glistening tears streamed down Jinriksu's face, hot and damp, catching Yichu off guard. The tears splashed onto his hands and clothes. Jinriksu held Yichu tightly, soaking his clothes. Yichu, in turn, held Jinriksu tightly, as if comforting her, gently nuzzling his head against her. Soon, the two were pressed close together, their ears rubbing against each other, slowly calming down. They breathed hot air at each other's faces. This was the first time they had achieved a draw. They had never been like this before, always at odds. It was almost always Yichu who initiated the contact, rarely letting Jinriksu have her fill. Simply because she was unwilling. Most of the time, it was Yichu who took the initiative, and Jinriksu had only allowed Yichu to experience her newly learned leg techniques once, on the boat. This could be considered another step forward in their relationship. There was no longer any need to deliberately avoid certain areas. Jinriksu was willing to let Yichu touch her, and once was enough. Yichu understood this principle. The only thing preventing them from truly getting to know each other was a unique and in-depth understanding. Yichu believed that day wouldn't be far off. Zuier, can we bathe together now? Yichu held Jinriksu's flushed body, wet and uncomfortable. She must be very uncomfortable, and Yichu himself wasn't much better off. No way. Don't even think about it. You bastard, you're definitely up to no good. Jinriksu gritted her teeth, disgusted with the hand that had touched Yichu's head. She kept wiping it on Yichu's clothes, even his slip dress. She now felt the same disgust towards it. The white nightgown had a few white snowflakes embroidered on it by Yichu, giving it an air of their working together. Where am I up to no good? Yichu smiled helplessly. If he went back like this, Liu Erlong and the others would laugh him to death, going out for the night and ending up getting himself into trouble. You're up to no good at anything. You bastard, you've made me look so strange. Jinriksu bit her pink lips, pressing tightly against Yichu, rubbing against him. Her body was honest, but her mind was rational. She couldn't let Yichu succeed so quickly. Alright, then I'll soak you in the water, okay? Yichu didn't insist. He was completely calm at this moment. Of course, Jinriksu's worries weren't unfounded. Given enough temptation, he could indeed act recklessly, just like Liu Erlong, Zhu Huqing, and Du Guyan. Each of them had their own unique characteristics, and occasionally they couldn't control themselves, wanting to get to know each other better. Okay, Jinriksu gripped Yichu's collar, letting him hold her in his arms. Tears still welled up in her eyes, dripping onto the ground as Yichu moved, casting shimmering light. Jinriksu closed her eyes. She had indeed become very strange. Just being held by Yichu moved her deeply, her eyes brimming with tears. Yichu opened the mechanism and led Jinriksu into her boudoir. The water in the bathroom hadn't cooled down yet. After placing Jinriksu in it, Yichu left. The next day, not far from Heavendao City, the capital of the Heavendao Empire, located 300 miles east of it, nestled amidst mountains, what appeared before Tangsan was merely a small village that looked not much different from the Holy Soul village he had left. Wisps of smoke rose from various parts of the village, indicating it was almost lunchtime. At the village entrance, several children were playing, while in the nearby fields, many people were tidying up their farm tools, preparing to return to the village for lunch. Unfolding the sheepskin map in his hand, Tangsan carefully examined it again. He was certain he hadn't come to the wrong place. This was it. The map showed that the Clear Sky sect was actually this small village. Had the once #1 sect in the world fallen to such a state? In fact, not only him, but even Mo Wuchang and Zizu, who were beside him, were equally astonished. After the Clear Sky sect announced its closure, it relocated. The map had originally been found on Tang Hao's body when Zizu discovered Tang Hao's corpse. However, he himself had never had the chance to return, and naturally wouldn't know the true situation here. Father, let's go. With a what's done is done attitude, Tangsan put away his map and strode towards the seemingly unremarkable little mountain village. Alright, Evil Blood Douluo nodded, with Mo Wuchang following behind. As they walked towards the village, Tangsan felt a strange sorrow. Once upon a time, the Clear Sky sect was the #1 sect in the Douluo continent's Soul Master world. But now it had fallen to the point of hiding in a small mountain village. Although this allowed them to conceal themselves well, for a family with such a powerful lineage, it was a tremendous blow. His father's pain probably stemmed from this. Bringing disaster to the sect was certainly his father's fault, but did his father have a choice at the time? If the Clear Sky sect had given its full support, his mother wouldn't have had to sacrifice herself, and the Clear Sky sect wouldn't have ended up like this. Damn the spirit hall. Damn Yichu. Tang San's face was contorted with rage. Since leaving Spirit City, he hadn't slept soundly. Every time he opened or closed his eyes, all he saw was the image of Yichu defeating him and Tang Hao's self-destruction. He understood that he was Tang Hao's son, and he should avenge his father. He should follow Tang Hao's wishes. He should lead the Clear Sky sect to rise again, avenging Tang Hao and his mother whom he had never met. He should also demand an explanation from Tang Hao within the sect. Even though time had passed and it wasn't the time to investigate who was responsible, the Clear Sky sect still needed to show the proper attitude. Otherwise, how could he willingly help the Clear Sky sect rebuild its strength and wash away its shame? Amidst the swirling thoughts in his mind, Tang San reached the entrance to the mountain village. Just as he was about to enter, several middle-aged villagers who had just returned from working in the fields blocked his way. Please leave. We don't welcome outsiders here. The speaker was a burly middle-aged man. As he spoke, his eyes held a hint of suspicion as he looked Tang San up and down. Tang San straightened up. I'm not an outsider, I'm just going home. The middle-aged villager was taken aback. Going home? We don't have any noble young masters like you here, we're all country folk. What home are you going home to? Tang San didn't need to look to feel the villagers around him becoming tense. Their grip on their farm tools tightened noticeably, their footsteps shifting slightly, subtly indicating they were about to surround him. They didn't want to waste any more time here. Tang San slowly raised his left hand. Black light surged from his palm, carrying a deep and imposing, eerie aura. The Clear Sky hammer, glowing with blood, silently appeared. His left hand tightened, gripping the handle tightly. Tang San sneered, does this prove anything? Seeing the Clear Sky hammer in Tang San's hand, the middle-aged men were initially stunned, but their emotions quickly relaxed, and when they looked at Tang San again, their eyes were filled with respect. The middle-aged man who had spoken to Tang San earlier tentatively asked, may I ask which family you belong to? I don't think I've seen you before. Tang San didn't want to linger. My father sent me back to acknowledge my ancestors. Upon hearing this, the villagers, though they hadn't gained any useful information, dared not delay and quickly ushered Tang San into the village. They couldn't bear the responsibility if you were some important figure whose bloodline had been lost elsewhere. After all, they had heard years ago that the sect leader's bloodline had been lost. This small mountain village was more of an outpost of the Clear Sky sect than a true branch of the sect. Even if the Clear Sky sect had fallen on hard times, it wouldn't allow them to be treated so poorly. The people living in the village were merely collateral relatives of the Clear Sky sect. The sect's true strength lay elsewhere. However, these collateral outposts were quite cautious. Although Tang San's Clear Sky hammer had earned them some trust, they still didn't directly take him to see the sect's people. Instead, they invited Tang San and his companions into the village, arranged for them to rest in an empty room, and sent someone to inform the sect. After waiting for about half an hour, hurried footsteps sounded outside. The door opened. Several men dressed in gray appeared in the doorway. The leader, broad-shouldered and with a straight nose and square jaw, had short hair like steel needles. He looked to be around 30 years old, and his muscles bulged beneath his gray robe, giving him the air of a powerful, poised lion. You're Tang San? The gray-clad strongman asked. His eyes flashed with a sharp light as he scanned Tang San from head to toe, his expression a mixture of curiosity and hostility. Tang San was certain he didn't recognize this man, and this was his first time here since birth. He didn't understand the source of this hostility, but he still nodded simply. That's me. The gray-clad strongman waved to his two companions. Come with us. Without another word, he turned and left. Tang San ignored the rude man and instead asked Zizu and the others for permission. The man's hostility made him even more cautious. Godfather, Your Majesty Wu Chang, let's go. Wait. They can't go in, only you can. A familiar and domineering aura emanated from the three gray-clad men. But it was quickly suppressed by the imposing aura of Mo Wu Chang, the titled Douluo, who unleashed his 9 spirit rings. We're just accompanying Tang San to acknowledge his ancestors. Don't you know any manners towards such distinguished guests? Mo Wu Chang, a long sword atop his head, pressed the three men down so hard they couldn't lift their heads. These three were very strong, especially the burly man in the lead, who appeared to be 30 years old. Despite his age, his spirit power surpassed Tang San's, indicating he had likely broken through level 60. Breaking through level 60 at such a young age was quite remarkable among the younger generation of the Clear Sky sect. The other two men, who looked to be around the same age, were roughly between level 50 and 60. Although the Clear Sky sect had closed its gates, the strength of these three direct descendants revealed the sect's true power. After all, this was once the #1 sect in the world. Even so, they were nothing compared to title Douluo. Exchanging bewildered glances, they could only take the person upstairs for the elders and sect leader to decide their fate. Your Excellency, since that's the case, then please come with Tang San. Please, this time. The three were much more polite, but only slightly respectful to Mo Wuchang. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. Chapter 776 The Lofty Mountains of the Haoshan Sect. Mo Wuchang glanced at Zizu, seeing that he didn't care, and didn't make things difficult for the three. He put away his martial soul and nodded, saying, since that's the case, you can lead the way. Hao Xianzong didn't speak, walking straight out of the room without even waiting for Tang San and the others. He immediately unleashed his speed and sped towards the back of the village. Although he wasn't using his martial soul, at their level, their speed was still quite astonishing. Hao Xianzong has been in seclusion for many years, yet they're still so arrogant. Zizu smiled casually and said to Tang San beside him, Little San, they're going to give us a taste of their own medicine. Keep up. As soon as he finished speaking, Zizu moved with lightning speed, seemingly covering several meters in an instant. Mo Wuchang quickly followed. Don't worry, Godfather, their plan is about to fall apart, Tang San sneered, taking a step forward, his body suddenly becoming ethereal. After years of cultivation, his ghost shadow step had already reached a level of perfection. Although the three ahead moved quickly, he followed as if strolling leisurely, never falling behind and always maintaining a distance of about 10 meters. Zizu and Mo Wuchang also quietly followed beside Tang San, not in a hurry. They were guests, not there to cause trouble. The gray-clad leader of the Haoshan sect glanced back at Tang San. When he saw Tang San so close, yet he hadn't sensed it much, his expression changed slightly, and he increased his speed, seemingly wanting to deliberately test Tang San's speed. Unfortunately, it wasn't Tang San who fell behind first, but his two companions. After the leading gray-clad man reached a certain speed, the two gray-clad men began to lag behind. They knew their leader's competitive spirit and felt a sense of helplessness, a hint of complaint on their faces. Even if you want to compete with him, there's no need to rush. Let me help you. Just as the two gray-clad men gritted their teeth and accelerated, only to be pulled away, Tang San's voice suddenly rang out. Immediately afterward, they both felt a domineering force coming from behind. Their bodies felt as if they had been struck heavily, and with a muffled groan, they suddenly sprinted forward, closing the gap in the blink of an eye, their faces flushed. Turning around, they saw Tang San coldly smiling at them. Clearly, the force had come from him. Damn it, the two gray-clad men cursed angrily, their hearts filled with shock. How old was Tang San? Not only could he keep up with their leader, but he could even launch an attack on them. No wonder there were those rumors down the mountain. Soon, the group of four had emerged from behind the village. Directly ahead was a mountain peak. The mountain itself wasn't high, but it was extremely steep, its walls almost perpendicular to the ground, and incredibly smooth, devoid of any vegetation, a steep, rocky mountain. The gray-clad leader showed no sign of slowing down. Seeing that he had reached the foot of the mountain, he took a step, leaped up, and rushed towards the mountainside. Tang San was slightly startled. The mountain peak before them was over 500 meters high. Was he planning to climb directly up this smooth rock face? Tang San knew he couldn't do it by just jumping. After all, he needed leverage to unleash the wonders of Ghost Shadow Perplexity. However, Tang San's doubts were quickly resolved. Clearly, the gray-clad leader couldn't climb directly either. When his body reached about 20 meters, he touched the rock face with his toes before rising again. Tang San looked closely and saw that there was a depression about every 10 meters on the smooth, mirror-like rock face, perfect for using as leverage to climb. Seeing this, a smile appeared on Tang San's face. It seemed the Clear Sky sect was truly well sealed. This steep mountain face alone was beyond the ability of any soul master below level 40 to climb. Even with sufficient strength, one needed sufficient courage. Moreover, if someone launched an attack from the summit, even a level 60 or 70 expert might not be able to reach the top. This was definitely an insurmountable barrier. No wonder the spirit hall hadn't managed to break through. While pondering this, the other two gray-clad men also leaped into the air. Unlike their leader, they weren't arrogant, they only used leverage every 20 meters, a standard 10-meter leap, quickly catching up. Tang San wasn't in a hurry to show off either, instead turning to look at Zizu and Wu Chang. What? Afraid we can't keep up? Zizu smiled sinisterly, looking up at the sheer cliff, his body rising straight up like a spring. Wu Chang, using his spirit power, followed suit. Bastard! You're going too far. Seeing this, Tang San didn't hesitate. He flicked his blue-silver grass, grabbing the two behind him and using the leverage to fly up, quickly catching up with the leading gray-clad man. Using leverage every 30 meters, he easily climbed upwards. Tang San naturally reached the summit faster than the leading gray-clad man. The gray-clad man didn't look at Tang San, but instead gazed at Zizu, who was already waiting at the summit. His eyes held a hint of solemnity. He had never felt this kind of pressure from a titled Douluo in his clan before, meaning this titled Douluo was very strong. His gaze towards Tang San also held a degree of approval. Only after the three of them had all reached the top did he set off again. Throughout the entire process, he didn't utter a single word to Tang San. Upon reaching the summit, the view ahead opened up dramatically. On the other side of the stone mountain, the landscape was no longer monotonous. Several mountains ahead were covered in lush green vegetation. The six of them proceeded into the mountains in threes, one in front and three behind. Through observation, Tang San discovered that this mountain range was quite peculiar. Most of the peaks were extremely steep, and the mountains were connected by ravines. Climbing up and down would undoubtedly be extremely exhausting. If defenses were set up on every mountain peak, then one would have to traverse one formidable barrier after another. Even if the number of attackers was 10 times that of the defenders, they might not be able to break through. The terrain was truly treacherous. They hadn't gone far when they reached the edge of the mountain. At an altitude of 500 meters, clouds and mist swirled around them. To Tang San's surprise, the gray-clad man at the front suddenly leaped into the air and jumped directly into the deep ravine ahead, disappearing instantly into the mist. The two gray-clad men ahead of Tang San turned back to look at him warily before jumping down themselves. How, iron chains, the evil blood Douluo couldn't help but chuckle. Tang San focused intently. Then suddenly understood. Wishing everyone a pleasant life. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.